Shout out to everybody out there on White Street. You already know what it is. Salute everybody.
Joining with us, we have the pristine queen herself. What I want to do, PQ, is I want to give you the opportunity to kind of do your own little introduction, tell everybody who may or may not know on this side of the pond who you are, and then I want to do like a little segue into why this is important to me and why I think that this is going to be a groundbreaking interview that people are going to look back on for many, many years to come, and I stand by that. So let's hear the bio, the rundown, the catalog.
Let me tell you, this is the part that I hate. I hate being interviewed because you have to talk about yourself. As somebody who does a lot of interviews, it's always fun to be asking the questions and not answering them. But I'm gonna do my best.
Can confirm.
So my name is Azizzar. I am 30 years old this year. I love hip hop. Qualified journalist. So what I studied is journalism. So I have an honors degree in journalism. I practiced as a journalist for a few years. I used to write for two newspapers. I used to write for the Times and the Sunday Times. My title was general reporter, but I made it a point to write a lot about entertainment and hip hop and music and that kind of stuff. So that's generally where I got to know a lot of the people that I get to speak to today. I'm a motor mouth. I love hip hop, and that's really about it. That's really what I can say without being asked the question.
So you're on the Element now, right?
Yeah.
Can you speak on that? So like from my side, right, everything that I watch as far as what you post and stuff like that, I have an idea, like it looks like a radio show to me, but without being over there in South Africa and being part of like, you know what I'm saying, like the media reel, I may not actually know what it is or what it is not that you do over there, like what your role is or what that is. So can you kind of elaborate on that for everybody?
Okay, so right now I am a radio presenter and I produce my own show. So I'm a producer and presenter, content producer and a radio presenter. My 9 to 5 is I am the big manager at the station that I work at right now as well.
Hey, you don't think this was part of the credits you should have mentioned?
You know what? It's just one of those things for me. You know, it's one of those situations where I hate admin and like being in charge of people. I just happen to be really good at it. So that's how that came about. So basically, The Element is my show. Let me give you some background on how that even came to exist.
Mm-hmm.
So I was working at the paper for a couple of years. So after I graduated, I had to be a part of a basically work experience, on the job training type of thing. So I went into a graduate program with the Times and Sunday Times, and through that and at that time, one of my assignments was I had to go to this business awards thing, and I had to collect audio for one of the radio stations that was under the company that I worked for. And I was not in the mood. I didn't want to do it. It was like a Thursday night.
So why? That sounds fun.
Right, but at that point in time, I did not want to do it. When I got that assignment, I was like, yeah, I really don't want to do this. So I was like, about it like the whole week until the day of. And when I woke up that morning, I was like, you know what? You need to have a better attitude. You're going to this thing and you need to be present and you need to show up and you need to make the most of it, because you don't know who could be in that room. You know, those
Facts.
business people. And I was like, you don't know who you could meet, and your attitude could be the thing that stands in your way. So fix that now.
Look at dropping gems. We're a minute into this. Dropping gems already. Let's go.
You asked for me, you got me. And I'm so grateful that I had that, I don't know, divine intervention or whatever, and decided to change my mind, because that night is when everything changed for me. So went to this event, and I was sitting at this table, and I was a junior at that point in time. I was going with somebody who was already a producer and established radio person in the building, and I was still earning my stripes and trying to learn. And I'm sitting there, and this man comes through to the table with his wife, and he was like, hi, is anybody sitting next to you? And I was like, no, go ahead, you can sit here. And because I changed my attitude, I started having a conversation with him.
Right.
And, hi, hi, my name is Azizzar. I do this. What do you do? And he just happened to be the executive producer of the biggest breakfast radio show at that point in time.
Nice.
So I was like, oh shit. So I asked him, right? Because
Sit,
so when I was in
sit upright.
hi, hi, because in case you didn't get it, right? And so when I was in varsity, I had done a little stint in radio. I was reading news because I had to work a certain amount of hours in order for me to graduate. So that's where radio came from. But it was nothing. I didn't take it that seriously. I was just like, you know what? I have to do these hours. I'm gonna give myself, but then that's just that. But I got so interested in it, and I was like, shit, how can I get back into this industry at some point in time? But then I just so happened to sit next to this man a few years later. So
Right.
then I asked him because, I had done news reading and stuff, but I was really interested in the way that radio works as a whole. I'm just that kind of person. If I'm gonna go into something, I want to research as much as I can, understand it as much as I can, because when you understand something, you respect it. And when you respect it, there's a certain way that you approach it. So I wanted to understand how
T-shirts. Let's go. Yo, the quotables from this are gonna be crazy. I get hit up on Twitter all the time from the quotables from the
Yeah,
interviews. This is
really.
I can already tell this is gonna be wild.
Look, I'm just telling my truth, and if it resonates with people, then that's really, really dope. So I then I was like, look, I worked in radio and varsity. I did some news reading, but I'm really interested in, going a step further. So I asked him, I was like, what advice do you have for an upcoming content producer? Because I wanted to do
Right,
production, because I wanted to
right.
understand it from that perspective. And because, your girl had worked on her energy that morning, he was really feeling that energy. And he said, come work with me and I'll teach you everything you need to know.
Did your heart sink?
I was like, what? That's what I was like, what? And he was like, seriously, come work with me. I'll teach you everything you need to know. But I was like, you know what? You go out, you network. People say these kinds of things, but not a lot
Right.
of people live up to it. So I was like, this is like lip service, whatever. And then an hour or so goes by, and now I'm like, oh my gosh, it's almost the end of the night. I don't have this person's contact details. So then I asked him, I was like, do you have a business card? And he was like, oh, yes, I need to give that to you. He's like, I'll give it to you just now. Then another hour passes, and I'm like, oh my God, this man is really not trying to talk to me. Like, what is going on? Can he just give me the card? So I ask him again politely. I'm like, hi, the evening is about to come to an end. May I please have your contact details? So he whips out his business card and he was like, first thing tomorrow morning, send me your CV, your bio, your profile, what you've
Right.
done. And he's like, if you send it, then we can talk. He's like, but it's all in your hands. If you wake up tomorrow and you choose to believe that this was just a conversation, then that's on you. But if you wake up tomorrow and send me all your info, then we'll do some great work.
I love this guy. This is
So,
some Wolf of Wall Street
right?
shit. I like this. This is dope.
So I woke up at like 4 a.m. and I was like, oh my gosh, let me send this because I don't want to forget. So I woke up, I sent it to him, and hours went by, and I kept clicking refresh in my emails just to see if he was like received or anything. And then I think he let a day pass, and I was like, oh shit. And then he responded and he said, received, thank you so much. Because he was the executive producer of that show, he then got the producer, who was the person I ended up reporting to be in touch with me. So he was like, you will hear from Sheila, and she will tell you what happens next. I was like, okay, cool. So now I'm sitting and I'm waiting for Sheila, and I was like, who's Sheila? Sheila didn't meet me. She doesn't know I have good energy. What if she forgets? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
Let's
And
go,
the more
Sheila. Get it together.
right, but you know what? Sheila was great. It was me because I'm so highly strung. And I was like, oh my God. Meanwhile, it had been like a few hours. So eventually Sheila calls me and she's like, hey, can you come through to the studio for an interview next week? And I was like, oh, shit.
I'll check my schedule. I'll get back to you, Sheila.
I feel, I'll get somebody to be in touch with you. So I was like geeking out, and I think at the time I was what 23, like 23, 24, fresh out of varsity. Like this is like the biggest radio station at that point in time, you know what I mean? And I'm like, Jesus. So I go through there, and when I get there, there's another intern who's there. So I was basically being interviewed for an intern position. There's another intern that was there. And that intern is somebody that I worked with at that varsity radio station. And
Nice.
they said to him, "You know her. Do you think she can do the job?" And I was like, my life depends on this person.
Was I an asshole to this person? Just
Maybe. So I wasn't an asshole to this person, right? But for like a good 4 months before that, he had been trying to link up, like, "Hey, let's do lunch. I haven't seen you in a long time." And I was like, "Yeah, sure. And I was like, "Oh my God, I should have just gone to lunch because
I've been curving my connect.
I know." And he looked at me and I was like, "Oh my God." And he was like, "Yeah, she can definitely do the job." And they were like, "You vouched for her. If she fucks up, it's on you." And then they were like, "You start next week." And I was like, "What do you even mean?" And so I was an intern producer. Yeah, I was an intern producer on one of the biggest breakfast radio shows.
So this puts you at a 7-year veteran in radio talk.
I mean, veteran is a strong word, but sure, 7 years is
Ah,
a long time.
7 years in any career path is a long time. Like if you weren't about that life, you would have given up way before year 7.
That's
You know?
very, very true. So that's where I got trained in radio and production. You know, that's where I really, really got my training. Understood how radio worked. I understood how you listen to radio differently in order to create content for radio. I saw how, things work from the back end. So for that, I was there for like 6 months. So for the first month,
That's a whole talking point in and of itself, because as somebody who's been a battle rapper, I speak to other artists about this all the time, about how like rappers listen to music differently because we are looking
yes,
for something your ear is just different when you're a part of something.
yes,
So you're saying it's the same
exactly.
thing with radio content.
It's the same thing with radio. I am the worst person to listen to the radio with because while I'm listening, I'm everybody's producer. I'm like, "That's not how you say it. You should have done this. Oh my God, I can hear when somebody is not researched. I can hear if somebody just looked up something about 5 minutes ago. You can hear those kinds of things because you know what it's supposed to sound like when you
Right,
are prepared. You've been the person who prepares the person speaking on the
right.
mic. So you can hear when something is a little
Mm.
bit off. So I'm the worst person to listen to the radio with because my
So
ear
I
is
don't
so
want you watching none of my interviews. Okay.
I love your interviews though. You are so prepared.
Uh,
I can
I
tell,
appreciate
you know what
that.
I mean? And that's why
This
I was like,
one,
I can,
this one
yeah.
is going to be different. All right. So here's the big thing for this interview. This interview is important to me. 9 times out of 10, when I do these interviews, it's for the fans, right? I want to give the fans a different insight into the artist that they already love. I want
Yeah.
to I want to show the behind the scenes, or I want to show the what separates this person. You know what I mean? Like I usually have like an agenda for the fans, content wise, going into these types of interviews. With this one, how do I want to state our relationship? Uh, we are collaborators, right?
Yes,
And
we are.
for me, it's important that I get an understanding of your overall demeanor, your overall just like how the testament of who you are, right? The other
Yeah.
people that you and I are involved with, I have extensive hours of conversation and relationships with, right? Whereas with you and I, we're touch and go on social media. So like the opportunity to
Yeah.
sit down and get a feel for your personality, get a feel for your boundaries and your buttons and stuff like that. I think this is super important. And I also want this to be a two-way interview because it's just as important for you to be able to get
So
that
true.
information from me for any type of future unforeseen projects that may or may not be in the works.
True. 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 True.
So
True.
like,
True.
so fuck the fans on this one. This one's for us.
Okay, so before we say fuck the fans, I just want to say what's up to S. Jr., my best friend. He's in here.
Well,
Also, my other
except him.
bestie. Hey?
Except him. He's cool.
Except him, he's alright. Okay, cool. So Esther, you get a pass. And then there's also Don Tabby, who's showing me love. Also one of my good friends. And then I saw one of my other
Hey.
best friends earlier on as well. So thank you guys for coming through and hearing me
I
too.
seen
I really
Touchline and Stogie jumping.
I saw them
I
as
seen
well.
some
Shout
names
out
in
to
there.
Touchline and
We're getting some
Stogie.
love from the
Yeah.
guys. Appreciate y'all. Um,
Okay, so where we going next?
so we got like the background and we got the idea, the premise behind why I wanted to do all this. All right. So like the first thing I want to learn is kind of about like your temperament, right? That's important for me. I am usually someone that people will either love or hate, and there is not really a huge in between for me. I tend to be somebody's favorite person or somebody's least favorite person very, very quickly, and it's important for me that I know where I'm going to stand with you.
Right.
So
It's okay. I tend to be that person as well. You either really, really love me or you're just like, oh,
I've not seen one person say every single person that I've interacted with already knew you coming into it and has
oh
loved
wow.
you. So like I can't really vouch for that. Everybody loves you that I've come across so far.
Oh, yay, that's nice.
So let's start with your sense of humor, right? Because you've interacted with me on some very toxic posts on Twitter.
Yeah, you're disgusting. I just want to
see,
put that out there.
this is what we need to talk about. So when you've called me disgusting before in private chats.
Yes,
So this is a recurring theme, and I own
yes.
it 100%. But what do you mean? What do you mean when you say that? Is that endearing? Is that lovable? Or is that like tone it down?
No, that is lovable. That is, oh my
Okay,
God, that is so disgusting, but I love it. I'm here for it.
I appreciate that. Okay, see, I need to clear the air with this, right? I don't want to
So,
make anybody uncomfortable. I want to make
so
sure
I
we all.
always say, so I always say that if I have love for you or if I care about you, you will know because I will roast you. I will talk the most shit to you,
Let's
and I'll
go.
just give you a hard time. If you want to know, like, does she like me or not? If I don't say anything to you, I really don't like you. I don't care, because
Mm,
then that means like I don't want to give you any of my energy. You're not worth my
right.
time. So the more love you get from me, the more roasting, the more nonsense
The
you
more
get from me,
nonsense is there.
yeah, the closer you are to me, the more I care
Uh,
about you, the more you have a
where
special place in my
where
heart.
does disgusting rank with that? That must be pretty good. Disgusting's a strong one. I feel like that's pretty high.
Yeah, look, disgusting is a strong one, but until I call you a piece of shit, you're not quite up there yet.
Gotcha,
But I
gotcha.
think you have great potential to get there.
Oh, trust me, the piece of shit potential with me is fucking sky is the limit, baby. Let's
I
go.
believe it. I believe it. I believe it.
All right, so that's good. I forget what it was. We got into some of the wild Twitter discussions you decided to hop into. Um, that so let's talk about this. What offends you? What are your boundaries as far as humor goes, as far as content goes, as far as like yeah, just that scope of things. Like what is the like, hey, this stuff is cool, or I assume a majority of it is cool, so it's easier to pinpoint the stuff where it's like, hey, this stuff is off limits. Anybody that finds this stuff or goes to this realm is like they're out. You know what I'm saying? So let's talk
Oh,
boundaries as an individual and as a professional because that's going to be the capacity. You know what I mean?
yeah. So I think the thing for me where I always say I can take a lot, but I cannot take disrespect and just being blatantly rude. There are people where you can be like, okay, this is just a dark sense of humor, but you can tell when someone's intention is just to be rude. I don't like rude people. I don't like people who go out of their way to hurt other people. I don't like shame and embarrassment. Those are the things that will piss me the fuck off. I don't like that. If you are saying or doing something with the sole intent of embarrassing somebody, of being disrespectful towards somebody or hurting them, then we're gonna have a problem. Those are the things that I don't agree with.
So you're
Um,
not into battle rap.
that's different though. That's different because that's it's a performance, but it's not. It's very braggadocious, but your intent is not to
But
really and
I,
truly.
I would argue so is radio, right? So like where is the line drawn between somebody who is a Charlemagne the God, who is an abrasive, aggressive, sometimes disrespectful radio personality that is entertainment based, right? And that is a character that is assumed versus battle rap. I don't necessarily know or see a distinguished line there, but it's not about me right now. I want to know where your lines are drawn with that.
Right. I think for me, Steve, over the truth of the matter is it's very different if we are in or on a particular platform, and we are known for being off the cuff, unfiltered, anything, almost anything kind of goes. But the truth is, you know that there are certain lines that you shouldn't cross. For instance, right?
Hmm.
Like for me, if so for me, when I was 10, my dad passed away, right? So that's a sensitive thing to me.
Rest in power.
So if you for whatever reason, for your entertainment value or just for your personal entertainment, one day decide to be like, yeah, well, you're a little bastard because you don't have a dad. That's not funny.
Right.
That's not entertaining.
I got you. Okay.
So those
So
are the bounds.
you're talking to so you're with the shits as far as jokes and what I think sensible people would consider obvious humor.
Yeah.
Like that's a common sense thing that you just talked about. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if somebody said that to you, I would assume that they're trying to get stabbed, that they're not trying to get a laugh. You know what I
But you
mean?
know what? People say reckless shit like that and then they cop out on, oh, but I'm just kidding. Oh, it was just in the moment. No, you're a fucking asshole.
I got you. I guess what I wanted to get to more than that. Like, so we have the common sense level kind of like covered, right? What I wanted to get to was more like the 2020 people are very overly sensitive, right? Is there anything that you are overly sensitive about? Because I haven't picked up on it, right? As of right now, I think the conversations that we jumped into were very very left field so far,
Right.
and I never really got a sense of like touchiness. You know what I'm saying? Like that overly sensitive, I need a bubble type thing, right? But if without having the conversation, like I want to discover the boundaries. I'd much rather find out through conversation than through a slip of the tongue at some point. You know what I mean? Is there is
Right.
Do you have any of those like extreme sensitivities that we see nowadays? Because if you and I get into a situation like an interview like this, where we're talking for an extended period of time that may or may not be happening in the future, like I want to know, like, hey, this is cool versus this is not cool. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
If it's just the
So
common sense stuff, then like we're Gucci, like it is what it is. But if there's any like little asterisks next to it, like
so I would say for me things like GBV, gender-based violence,
mhm.
things like, women being hurt, rape, kids being hurt. That for me, it's like, oof, mm-mm, mm-mm,
Got
mm-mm.
you. See,
That's
to me, that stuff still kind of falls under the common sense stuff.
You
Like
would think so. You would think so,
I would hope
but
so.
not necessarily. I mean, if you look at the way some people were reacting when everything went down with Megan Thee Stallion.
All right. So this is a great example, right? So as far as the Meg Thee Stallion things go, if we use this as like the catalyst for a conversation, right? I seen both sides of the coin come out. I seen the people who were instantly like, "Ayo, fuck Tory Lanez is a scumbag. Like this is way out of pocket." You know what I'm saying? And like right from the rip, we're doing that. But then I also seen the memes come out about Tory being 4'2" and Meg being 6'4", and he was defending himself, and like the memes came out. You know what I'm saying? Like in a joking manner about that. So when those memes came out, where it was like making fun of Meg for her stature and making fun of Tory for his stature and the whole situation, you didn't find any of them funny. For you, it was too serious of a situation to find humor in that, or is there a line there too?
I didn't find that funny at all.
Okay.
I really did not find that funny at all. So what if he's a lot smaller than what she is? The gun is smaller than both of them, but it did a lot of damage.
Facts.
So
I'm not taking this out. I'm just
no,
picking
I
your
know.
brain.
Yeah, I know you're not like, yeah, cool, whatever. I know you're trying to have a conversation, and that's also where I'm coming from. Because the thing for me is like when things happen, especially to people in the popular space, popular people, famous people, people who we think of as brands before we think of as people.
Right.
We forget that they are human beings. We forget that there is a young lady who was exceptionally worried about her life. You know what
Right.
I mean? We forget that there was a young lady who was in harm's way as a result of a man. And you know the thing about it is, even if she had been shot by another woman, she's a young lady who was hurt. Do we not care? Like, do we just not give a shit? Is it because she made it out alive?
Do you feel as though it has to be one or the other? Do you think that you can't share, enjoy, create a meme or something like that of a tragic situation while also having empathy? Do you think that you have to be one or the other?
I think that when those things happen, it's very difficult to find where your empathy is. Where in those memes, where is the empathy?
No, there's not necessarily empathy in the memes. In fact, I would argue that there is an opposite of empathy in the actual memes themselves. But this falls under the common sense thing that we talked about, right? Because in my mind, I can still look at something that's absolutely fucked up and be like, that's hilarious, and still not agree with it, right? Like really, really, like for me, and this is like again, the whole point is for us to get to know each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can look at the worst possible tragedy and see like an Ari Schaefer, like when Ari Schaefer came out with the Kobe jokes, right when Kobe passed away, right? He's a comedian that is known for, as soon as a tragedy hits, I see someone saying timing is also critical, where he's a comedian that is known that as soon as tragedy hits with any celebrity ever, the first thing he's doing is going on media and making jokes about it. And there is a whole group of people who are into that kind of like immediate, timely, dark humor, right? Whether in private or publicly, right? Whereas there's also, I would say, if there's 1 million people, I would say 900,000 of them would say that that's too soon. Like, Kobe's not the one to be joking with. This is bigger than that. His kid was on the plane. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot more other stuff that came out, or helicopter, not plane, but you know what I'm saying? So, like, kind of like walk me through your thought process with that. Because, like, I'm an Ari Schaefer fan, personally, right? And not because of that content specifically, but because I follow him, I'm privy to see the backlash that he gets when it comes to those who approve or disapprove of like dark comedy. You know what I'm saying?
For me, when it comes to those kinds of things, I'm not your target market.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's not for me. So I try my best not to. If I know that going to that space is going to offend me, I'm not going to that space because I'm going to get offended.
See? Okay.
And I'm left dealing with my offense, because if that is your brand of stuff, my being offended is not going to change what you do.
Facts. There's a difference between being offended at an Ari Schaefer joke or if the Pope were to post that meme. Like, I get what you're saying.
You know, so for me, there's also making decisions. You know, so if I know that thing is going to offend me and upset me, I'm not going to go and engage with that kind of content as well. Because sometimes I find that we ideally would want our offense or how we feel about things to impact the next person enough to make them change, but that's not always the case. And
it's rare. I would argue rarely the case.
Right. And so at which point do you stop running into the wall and hoping that it'll break down? You know what I mean? Like, and that's not to say don't say anything, don't do anything. You can and you should. But at some point, if I know that, okay, Stevie is not going to change at all. I keep having this conversation with him about the same thing. And he's just like, fuck it, I don't care. At some point, I need to go, okay.
This is a whole different conversation in of itself, because, like, I could do a whole, I don't know, like a podcast or something like that on that kind of conversation. Like, where's the cutoff line? Like, if you have somebody... a friend who makes an inappropriate joke on, you said your triggers were like gender-based violence or something like that, right? Do you give like, do you have like a strike process or something like that, or is it just like, yo, if you're that dumb to make that kind of a comment around me, like, I probably just don't need you around me. Like, you have no sense.
See what you just said? That's me. So, like, let's say, for instance, I mean, one of my best friends, S. Dot, is here, and he's a dude, right? And so S. Dot, sometimes is so reckless on social media, and not in an offensive way. And
I'm gonna have to follow S. Dot.
Just because you would love his content, and I say reckless very loosely, because his content is sex and hip hop. Okay.
Let's go. That's my guy. Shout out to
That is
SDOT.
and it's not he doesn't it's not sexual innuendos. He's just put up a face palm. Yeah, you talk that shit. Yes. It's not sexual innuendos. It's not let's hint at it very tastefully.
He just dives into it.
It's like, yo, I love it when I see a girl slobbing on my shit. That's my boy.
And you're cool with that. Because because our conversations that were wild were very sex oriented too on Twitter. I don't remember which one it was. We had the one where it was like I think more guys would be into getting their ass eaten if there was a cooler position to do it in, right? Like, and the issue that we talked about was like because there's no cool place to put your leg. Like a woman is the most beautiful creature in the world, no matter how she lays or how like what's going on. A woman is just the most beautiful. A man, once that leg goes up as a dude, like so like you've been cool in those type of conversations with me on Twitter.
My thing with that is that is him expressing himself about something that he's passionate about, right? But that content is not hurting anybody. He's not hurting anybody.
Gotcha.
He's talking about his sexual preferences very graphically, more graphically than I possibly would. But just because I wouldn't do it doesn't mean that I should be calling him up and be like, yo, oh my God, did you really have to say that shit about the dick and the clit? No, that's not something that I would go at him for. But if he had to be on there talking reckless about rape or being a racist or anything like that, the first thing I'm doing is getting on the phone with him and going, what the fuck do you call this? And we have that conversation because another thing for me is like people like to hide behind their social media personalities and personas and all that kind of shit. But if I know you personally, that's some bullshit.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
so
I don't believe that you can just go onto social media and say something and be like, oh, but that's just my persona, because at the end of the day, your persona is a part of you as a person.
I agree with that 100%.
So I can't be like, oh, S-Dot's just being S-Dot when he's talking reckless about rape and sexual violence or anything like that. I have to call that out and check it, because at which point then, because if we go out together, for instance, and we're at a club or a bar or whatever, how do I know that part of you is not
won't come out? I got you.
When we're out amongst people. So
not only that,
things will pull out.
As somebody who's involved in hip hop, I think that same sentiment is echoed throughout artists as well. Like there are artists in battle rap who, even though my job is to degrade you in any way possible, battle rappers still have standards. Battle rappers still get checked when they involve children. Battle rappers still get checked when they involve, you know what I mean, when they step out of that lane. You know what I'm saying? Like, so like, even though that's a persona, like you said, you know what I'm saying? But like, there's still accountability to be held, you know, persona or not.
You have to have a certain level of responsibility. And my thing about it is, once you say something out there in the public domain, you have to be comfortable with people questioning you about it in person if they know you like that. Otherwise, don't say that shit.
Facts.
It's just so simple. You know what I mean? It's like the conversations that we have sometimes about relationships, public relationships by celebrities, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a conversation of like, yeah, but they put it out there for us, and so why is it that they feel like now that they've broken up, they don't have to tell us like what happened and da 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 da. So for me, it's like, you know, and I mean, I feel so many different ways about it, but for me, to a certain extent, you do have to answer and say something. You don't have to give us all the details, because at the end of the day, you are a person and that is your private life. But the moment you start to share small bits of your private life, you do have.
I strongly disagree here. I strongly disagree with you on this one.
Okay, let me tell you what
I know exactly what you mean. I follow you and I understand.
You haven't said it yet.
I can see. I can put the pieces together. I'm gonna tell you why I don't agree, right? And then you can tell if I'm off. Just tell me I'm off. I am an adamant Joe Budden fan. I have been an adamant Joe Budden fan for most of my adult life, right? Joe Budden, if you're unfamiliar with his music content, is somebody who has lived in the public eye. He's probably, in my opinion, hands down, bar for bar, the best lyricist that's ever lived. Like, I do not know another person whose catalog has moved me in my own personal life in the way that his has. But that catalog consists of all the relationships, all the toxicity, all the bad decisions of the personal life, right? But has been on this crusade and has made it very, very clear that you will only ever get to see what I choose to let you see. And in the event that I decide to stop talking about it, I don't owe you a fucking thing. You bought the CD, not the person behind it. You purchased, you did your $15 purchase, you got your 15 tracks. I do not owe you as an artist, as a public figure, anything that I do not wish to put out there. You feel me?
Right.
And like, when it comes to celebrities, when it comes to being in the public eye, when it comes to everything that you're talking about, all I can hear is Joey's voice in the back of my head talking about that the man doesn't come with your $15 purchase. Just because you click follow on my Instagram and I start, like, you see a woman up there one day and then the next day she's not there, I know I fucked that up. My followers will know that I fucked that up. But I'm not obligated to tell you how or why I fucked that up. Do you feel me on this?
And look, I'm not saying that celebrities have to give us blow by blows of their lives. I'm not an advocate.
Hey.
I'm also, I know you, I got that. I saw you went there. I'm awake now.
Okay. Okay, we got the personality down. We got the personality down. All right.
Yeah, we got the personality in. I'm not saying that they owe that to people or they owe that to us, because I have a huge issue as well with the way that people feel super entitled to some of the most personal and private parts of people's lives, right? Mm-hmm. What I am saying, however, though, is that it's if for instance, right, let's say I date a famous rapper and we decide, like, okay, we're gonna have this huge, like, reality TV show. We're documenting almost every single thing that we do. On top of that reality TV show, he's talking about me in his music, so there's that. I'm talking about him on my show, so there's that. And we just keep feeding that and feeding that and feeding that. You go onto my social media, he's there. I'm going live with him just to show you, oh my God, look how my boyfriend's eating this strawberry. Oh, he's so amazing. Oh, he's so beautiful.
So disgusting, but go ahead.
And we're just
gross.
feeding you all of that content, and you're eating it up and you're enjoying it, and all of this and all of this and all of this and all of this. And then one day, either I fuck it up or he fucks it up, and then we just go, we're done, but you can't ask us shit about it.
Huh? Yep. Nope, I'm with it. I'm with it. I'm 100% with it.
I get it. I get it from the perspective of, we curate this life and we decide what we tell you.
I'm gonna shoot you some bail.
What I'm saying also is, sometimes you cannot be surprised that people feel that way.
I agree 1,000%. So this is
emotionally attached to your shit.
Right.
So you also need to give them a period to wean off of you and that. I'm not saying that you can't do it. I'm not saying that you can't be like, we've broken up, we don't want to talk about it, mind your fucking business. You have every right.
Right.
But also then understand that there will be people who are going to be like, but what do you mean? This was my life every Monday at 8 o'clock in the morning. We saw how you were feeding him the strawberry.
What is he eating? No, I got you. So I will shoot you bail, and that I believe that works both ways. I believe that the artist, right? The artist absolutely, by entering in the public domain and stuff like that, I will never budge on, they have complete control over what they choose to make public versus what they don't. And if you don't like that as a fan, fuck you. You can go watch something else. But
right.
I do believe that it is a two-way street, because you said something important in that a celebrity cannot be surprised by the comments and the backlash from the public. Like, that is also part of being in the public eyes. I think that if you can't have one without the other. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I do believe 100% that it is my choice. If I go public with a relationship, right, that I choose what goes out and if I give an explanation or not. But I can't be mad when the comment section has 10 million comments like, yo, what happened to the John from Saturday? And nobody wants to talk to me about anything else other than that until that's resolved. I think it goes both ways. So, like, I do agree with that 100%. I also agree with consumerism. I agree that a consumer has the ability to be like, hey, if I don't like the way that you are handling your content, I'm free to just go watch some other shit. Like, it's as simple as that. Like, if you're not going to listen to the 10 million comments asking what happened to Shorty, then, like, maybe you don't deserve those 10 million comments worth of attention from those people if you're not feeding into that machine. Does that make sense? Like, I believe it goes both ways. And there's a lot of people that are fair weather fans. There's a lot of people who are only fans of a person for one specific point of content. So it's kind of like how, like, hypothetically, if I were to get together in some type of a collaboration, how I wouldn't want that collaboration to be there for the content. I would want people to be there for the people and the personalities instead, because if that content changes, I don't want to lose that viewership. I would much rather... Exactly. I would much rather people be there for a you or a me, you know what I'm saying, as opposed to the content that you or I are speaking of. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Cool. But this also transitions into something else that I want to talk about, because this is like my next point as far as like getting to know, because this is one of my dislikes that I want to see your view on, because I also don't like projecting my own personal bias and dislikes and stuff like that onto others. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, being a female in the hip-hop industry, whether you're an artist, whether you're a talk show person, whether you're anything like that, it is one of my biggest pet peeves when people start conversations with, being a female in hip-hop, how does this make you feel? Being a female artist, how does this make you feel? Like, what is your view on this, right? Because, like, I hate the term, like, oh, she's dope for a female MC, or she's dope for a female like ETC. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I know for a fact that I can name 10 chicks off the top of my head that will body your favorite artist bar for bar. And it has nothing to do with whether or not they are a femc or not, right? So, like, when doing an interview, when I see interviews and the, like, you're not the first female that I've had on these IG interviews and stuff like that. My content is never like, hey, as a female, how does it feel to be like this? You know what I'm saying? So, like...
I'd probably answer and be like, it feels like how it feels for you, just with jugs on my chest.
I don't know. I'm getting a little fat right now. I got might be the same right now. I got to get back on my keto shit.
Let me know what your bra size is. I'll hook you up.
Oh, the pristine queen, the rainbow ladies. The rainbow girls. I get the rainbow girls first.
You be the first.
Oh, shit. That's fucking amazing. They have no idea what we're talking about, and I love it.
I don't. Okay.
But do you feel what I'm saying? Do you feel what I'm saying on this? Like, is this also a pet peeve for you? Is this also like, but because there's two perspectives. There's like, if you and I are both talking about a given track, right? Like, you've talked to me about this too. Like, if I'm included in a hip hop conversation, people are expecting the white perspective. People are expecting the American perspective, right? And they're expecting to hear from that. And I've been around it for so long that I just, like, I don't get offended when people are like, well, how do you feel about this as a Caucasian person? How do you feel about this as an American person, right? Where do you fall with all this? Is it like, hey, it's partly expected, like that is? Or is it like, yo, this is just flat out disrespectful, or I'm going to ignore it? Like, where do you fall with that? Because I do see both sides of the coin. Being a white American in hip-hop that covers a lot of South African hip-hop, like, I get that 3 out of 4 posts. So, like, where do you feel like, I can imagine as a female who is involved in hip-hop, where so many conversations start with, as a female in hip-hop, like, break this down for everybody.
I feel like I should have vodka in my bottle instead of water.
Let's go. We can take an intermission if you need to mix something real quick.
No, it's okay. No. I want to be very sober for you. You said something where it's like you were saying, like, is it a bit expected? I can understand why people have that compulsion to ask that question, because when you look at me, you can very clearly see that I'm a woman.
Facts.
So I understand where that compulsion comes from. So I'm not mad at it on that level. So rationally in my mind, I'm like, I get how you got there,
Right.
right? But a lot of the times I'm like, I really wish you had gone somewhere else instead of going there. Just simply because I feel like no one says, and this is something that Nina Hasty is a comedian in our country, right? And she just happens to be a woman. And she tweeted the other day, and she said, no one says my male doctor, no one says my male lawyer or
Right.
my male accountant. No one says that. But somehow it's very easy for people to say female rapper, female comedian, those kinds of things. And so for me, I err more towards what she's saying, where it's like, for me, I've always been the type of person where I want you to look at my work and judge my work based on my work. I want you to listen to my show or anything that I put out and go, oh shit, that's really cool, or oh shit, that's really garbage.
Right.
Not oh, she's really dope for a female radio presenter. No one talks like that.
We're on the same page. No, we're on the same page with that.
That's how I look at things, and that's what I want. But I also think that people have the right to feel how they feel about it. I remember I was talking to Miss Super, and she was saying, she's like, I don't mind if you call me a female rapper. I really don't mind, but there are women who mind, and I think that each person should be allowed to be referred to the way that they want to be. But for me, I generally do have an issue with I hate statements like, oh, she's really dope for a female rapper.
For a female rapper.
She's the best out of the girls, or whatever. No, is she good or is she not?
So I think those are two very different statements, in my opinion, right? So like, from a marketing standpoint, you have a certain value as a woman. Like here's the bail that I'll shoot the people that do this, right? Because there's two trains of thought, right? Number one, you have to take emotion out of it, and if you take emotion out of it and you just look at statistics as to why these phrases exist, for a long period of time there were significantly more male doctors than there were female doctors. At one point there probably was only male doctors. So to say my male doctor would have been redundant and wouldn't have made any sense. And then when the first female doctors start coming into play, it then makes sense that there's a distinguishable, like if there's only 3 female doctors and you go out of your way to say my female doctor, you're like, oh, why do you have to say that? Well, the answer is because there's only 3 of them. Like it's just, you can be mad for whatever reason emotionally, but statistically it makes sense. And I would argue that that same trope exists in hip hop, in that more, like if you look at a pie chart of male and female MCs, it is going to be drastically towards male MCs, to where for a large portion of history to say that male rapper wouldn't have made any sense and would have been redundant, as opposed to say this female rapper, right? So that's point one. Point two, to shoot these people bail, because again, I don't subscribe to it personally. I'm just trying to see both sides of it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Part two of it is that there's marketing value in it. If you are an above average, if you're a 6 out of 10 female rapper, or you're a 6 out of 10 male rapper, the 6 out of 10 female rapper has infinitely more stock because of the rarity of what she is in that pie chart, as opposed to another fish in the pond for the male rapper. If you are the only female radio talk show person, you have stock in being that, to where it's not necessarily disrespectful. And this is where it comes to those two statements that you said. There is a difference in saying this person is okay for a female rapper. To me, that is by far just insulting, right? As opposed to, she is the best of the female rappers. I don't think that's insulting at all, because you can't deny that you are part of that category. Like that is just something that is a part of your character, or not character, your body of work. You know what I'm saying? And to that would be like saying that is no different than they saying like, hey, Steve's the hottest white rapper I know. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, that's not insulting. That is just putting a category. That would be like saying Biggie is the best fat rapper. Like, there's no difference to me. Like, if something applies to put you in a box, we're all adults. We can acknowledge that that box exists. But if you say, hey, Steve's okay for a white rapper, you know what I'm saying, or is good for a white rapper, I think that inherently has a tone of disrespect or condescendence to it, as opposed to the category that I clearly fall into. Unless I get like a really dope tan, but then I'll get canceled for blackface, and it's a whole different story. But like, do you see what I'm saying?
That's the thing, though, Steve. A lot of people don't use it in the most positive way. A lot of the times there's that texture and undertone of you're dope amongst the girls, but you're not dope amongst the gents, or you could never be in the same league in the gents.
Do you think there's no validity to that? Do you think there's no validity to that?
I don't think that there's no validity to that, but I don't think that you should count me out just by virtue of the fact that I am a woman. Don't think that because I'm a woman I can't stand and go toe-to-toe with some of the greatest men.
You're talking potential versus reality, though. Because I agree with you as far as potential goes. If you try and limit somebody's potential based on their gender, you're a scumbag. But if I'm looking at somebody's current body of work, because this is what I do. I look at music and I compare music to all music. And I don't shoot females or white rappers or whatever, any type of bail. You are being compared on a platform to everyone else that is on that platform. I think that if you are dope in the female MC realm, or you are dope in the white MC realm, but not necessarily a standout overall on the platform, should that person not get any recognition then? Because if it wasn't for the female tag or it wasn't for the white rapper tag, you may not get a head nod whatsoever.
I hear you.
Like, if you took all the best rappers, they probably, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're probably not scratching that. But then if you start, like, this is why people start getting very regional. You feel me? Where it's like, hey, I'm the dopest rapper in Philly, or I'm top 10 in New York, or I'm, you know what I'm saying? Like, why? Because if you do it overall, you're probably not getting fucking mentioned. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why these subcategories exist.
And I get that, but my thing about it is that not a lot of people, Steve, so because that's what you do, so you know how because you do things a certain way, sometimes it's just a mind fuck to imagine that anybody would do things differently. So not a lot of people are going to think of it and look at it the way that you do. Not a lot of people are going to even think that, hey, I can compare an Azizzar to a Steve. Sometimes it doesn't even cross people's minds sometimes that they can actually compare the two of us just based solely on work.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
I know, I agree.
The exact same thing, right? If we're doing like the exact same thing,
right?
Some people's minds would not even think that, hey, work for work, we can compare these two. Even though when you look at them, and even when you look at them on paper, they're different. But the work that they do is exactly the same. And therefore we can compare them. People will take into consideration all our differences before they look at, but they're doing the exact same kind of work.
I do agree with that. I'm gonna state what I think is an obvious fact, but is a super unpopular opinion. Fuck you, John. That's my guy right there. These are greater than Steve.
I'm like looking at the comments because I'm just so focused on you. Azizzar over Steve.
That's my guy. That's my guy. John Henry is responsible for a lot of the good work that you guys see on my channel. He helps me filter through stuff. That's my dude. All right. So unpopular opinions, right? As far as this goes, and I'm gonna just be blunt with you. Most people. That means at least 51% of people, more than half the people in existence, are fucking stupid. And I believe that with my heart. I believe that most people, a majority, at least 51% of people, are fucking dumb. And their opinions to me don't matter, like, at all. When I say don't matter, I mean, like, I am very, 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 like, I think we need some type of population control at some point. Like, there should be, like I had a conversation with Stogie about this, right? When we start talking about, like, politics and shit like that. And just, like, one of the things that we talked about is, like, how voting and democracy made a lot of sense when there was 3,000 people in the colonies in America, and how it makes a lot less sense when there's 300 million people. Because nobody understands how laws even work. Nobody understands how the branch, like, if you went to Americans and there's 300 million and you ask them, what are the branches of government? You might get 100, you might get a third of them that even have any fucking idea what you're talking about.
Any idea, right.
Right? Like, we, in my opinion, my unpopular opinion, we don't need the other 2/3 of the population. Like, they're just a detriment to society, and I hate them with my whole, like, I hate dumb people, like, with my whole being. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not a super lovable person. Like, you either love me or hate me, and the people that hate me are usually the fucking idiots that can't differentiate like you're talking about. So, like, do I agree with you? PQ, I agree with you 100% that most people are not going to be able to do that differential, and most people are going to jump to the things that they realize or they don't realize. Why? Because I think most people are fucking stupid, and they can look at us and go, she's a girl, he's a guy. And any deeper level thought than that, they're probably not capable of. Like, I think they're giving us their best. I think they're giving us a good old try. I just think they're dumb. And I don't care about them as people. Like, their opinions don't matter to me. I'm never going to change any of the way that I am doing something, right? I'm never going to adjust my scalability based on, oh, we only got 30 seconds. You want to?
All right, where were we?
People are fucking dumb.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That is where we were.
So, like, just to complete the thought process that I was on with this, right? The reason that I go out of my way to make it very, very clear that I think most people are fucking dumb is that when you are in the public eye, right, as an intelligent human being who's capable of complex thought, I feel like you have to acknowledge that to some point. Like, you have to know from a marketing perspective that most people who are going to speak on you are going to exist at a lower wavelength of life than what you are capable of thinking. And, like, I don't give the average listener to anything that I do enough credence to care about the he's good for a white rapper kind of comment. You know what I mean? Like I personally, like, I just don't find it, I don't find them worthy of my own dismay to get into it, right? Now, like you were saying, like you were talking about, you were talking about.
Before you go further, what if somebody argues that thinking or that approach is arrogant and
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I'm super arrogant. Yeah.
But
I'm allowed to be arrogant because I'm not a fucking idiot and I'm able to make those complex thoughts and have those conversations. You're right. My way of thinking is 100% arrogant. I am arrogant. I am cocky. Let those people tell me the actual definition of any of those fucking words. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, I'm anyone who's capable of coming and trying to tear me down in any intelligent way, those are probably people that I'm going to want to have a conversation with.
Right.
But they're not the majority. They're not the at least 51%. They're, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there are people, and we talked about this in hip hop, right? So you and I are always going to bring everything back to hip hop, right? But, like,
100%.
if I drop a verse, right, and Joe Schmo is like, yo, that verse was garbage, I don't give one fuck. Battle me, guy. Like what are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Now, in the same instance, if somebody who I look up to, who I admire their pen game, goes and corrects me and is like, yo, that ain't it, my guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, look at Stogie. I hate these
Shout out
white
to
guys that think
Stogie.
they
I
know
hate
hip
these
hop.
white
Who is
guys who think they know hip hop. Who is this guy?
right?
Just some white reactor.
If Stogie T tells me, like, yo, your verse is trash, I don't care because he needed Nasty C to get a #1. If Joe Budden tells me that verse is trash,
You are so toxic. I hate you. I hate you. Oh, you are so toxic.
somebody get yo. I need more Trill. I need more Trill on my channel though, yo.
Yo, I love Trilly. Shout out to Trilly.
Shout out to
Hello,
Ginger Trill.
Snow. Good evening. Welcome to the party. I
Right.
fucking hate it here.
You love it. But like, do you see what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
I can't. You can't take everyone's opinion as having value. I honestly don't believe that most people's opinions to each individual are going to hold value. For instance, if I tell you some opinion on something that you're cooking or something that you're baking, I'm part of the 51% fucking idiots. I don't know shit about anything as far as cooking goes, though.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know anything. Like, I'm part of that 51% that's an idiot when it comes to things that I don't know about. The difference is I'm smart enough to know that I don't know shit about what I'm saying, and I don't put myself in those positions.
Okay, so what you're saying though, a lot of people don't think of themselves in that way. A lot of people don't think of themselves, like for instance, so one of my best friends is an incredible sports broadcaster, right? She's incredible. She's in here actually, Mutsiri Simuhona. She's absolutely incredible. So I've learned a little bit about sport through being so close to her and through watching her a lot more. But I am fully aware, very, very aware that I don't know enough about anything in that realm to have a strong enough opinion to be out here saying, yeah, but coach, whoever did this, that, and that. I'm a very self-aware person. You know, I know myself, I know my strengths, I know where to play and where not to play. A lot of people don't know that.
That's
And I
the
think that
you're making my point. That's my
that
point.
a lot of people, yeah, but we're talking. We're not debating. We're not trying to see who's right, who's wrong. We're trying to have a conversation.
No, I'm sorry.
To have a community,
I'm
yeah.
tying this back to the female thing. I'm
Right.
sorry. Like that. It's not a debate. It's brain picking. I'm sorry if it comes across that way. The tie back to that is that most people are not able to differentiate to take the work and just compare the work because all they're capable of is that surface level thought where they see a female or they see a male and then they plug it in. Because I would argue the argument is moot when you take facts and statistics into it because of what we talked about, the doctors being mostly male as opposed to a female doctor, and then you say female doctor. The same thing happens to male gymnasts. Why? Because a majority of gymnasts were females. So it would have been redundant to say female gymnasts. You feel me? And like that's the 49% level thinking that I'm talking about. And the only reason I was tying that back, I'll let you talk. I know I kind of ran away with this, but like to tie it back in is basically just saying like the idea that level of thought is all those people are capable of should be enough to not be offended. Like that's why I personally don't get offended by it.
So I hear that, and that explains how we got here, right? That explains how we got here and how we find ourselves in this particular situation. So now, what do we say? What do we say to people who are now like we're here now, and people are saying, the man always talking over the woman. Man, listen.
Team patriarchy, let's go.
You are toxic. I'm saying you are toxic.
I got you. Relax. Where we at with it?
You're looking for that thing. You're looking for your toxic filter.
Yes. Let's go.
Dude. Yeah.
I got y'all.
All right. So that explains cool, like how we got here and how this became the status quo. But what I don't like about it is the idea that we can't want to change that, and the idea that people should be happy to stay where they are. So what do we say about now? Okay, we're here. We understand how we got here and why things are the way that they are, and that's cool. But I hate the idea that you can't want more. You can't want to change that. I can't. It's like if I go, for fuck's sake, stop saying that I'm the greatest female radio hip hop personality and just say I'm the greatest. Then people go, ah, who the fuck does she think she is? Does she know so and so? Does she know Steve? Does she know da 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 da? Why does she think that she has what it takes to say that people shouldn't call her a female this? Da 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 da. That's what I have a problem with as well. So it's cool
Really?
and all that.
I
Because
thought it sounded like you were supporting that.
I have a problem with people wanting you to stay where you are. I have a
Okay.
problem with people wanting you to not want more and not want to change things. Do you know what I mean? It's like
No, I
oh,
follow
look,
you.
I'm here, but it's okay for me to want more and to want different. Yes, I got the tag of, let's say, yes, I got the tag of female rapper because for a long time there was no female rapper,
Right.
right? And that
Facts.
was a way of classing us and differentiating us, and that possibly worked to my advantage because like shit, this really dope female rapper. But it's okay for me to want to go, okay, I'm dropping the Lil from my name and I just want to be Aziza and not Lil Aziza, or I want to drop the
I got
female
you.
my title and just be that. I have a problem with people wanting you to not want more or different for yourself just because, well, rationally it makes sense that this is how we got here in the first place because this, that, and the other.
Here's what I'll say to that. I think I support your belief system. I don't know how realistic it is. So for you to
That's
say,
okay.
I want to change the 51% that are idiots and the way that they view and say things, I don't think that that's realistic. I think it's a pipe dream, and I think you're putting your energy in the wrong spaces, and it only is going to cause you to be frustrated. I think the way to do this, I think you answered your own question, right? If you come out of nowhere and you're like, yo, I am the illest radio personality, period. And anybody who separates me as female radio personality, their opinions are no longer void over here. You allow them the opportunity to separate themselves. And now you know who to give your energy to and who not to give your energy to. Because if I go out of the way, if it really offends me, and I go out of my way to make that distinction, and you're still a scumbag enough to go and make the distinction yourself, then I now know that you're part of that 51% that I don't need to be giving my energy to, and I don't need to care about your opinion. And I promise you, if you focus on the people who are actually capable of intellectual thought and are actually capable of understanding a person's wants and desires and why it's toxic not to think a certain type of way, and those people start changing, the sheep will come along with it. The sheep will come along with the influencers once the influencers make the change. Most people are not leaders. Most people are followers. Why does the term white rapper or female rapper exist? Because somebody who was popular in the public eye coined it. I'll give you a perfect example, and I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, right? So here we go with super hot take, right? Soulja Boy said that Nas is responsible for killing hip-hop. Do you remember this?
Mm-hmm.
Why did he say that? He said because nobody had the phrase in their vocabulary that hip-hop was dead until Nas said hip-hop was dead. Nobody was saying it until that. And Soulja Boy got fucking slaughtered for saying that. Who the fuck is Soulja Boy to speak on Nas's name? Blah, blah, blah. Like, that's how everything blew up. But if you take the legacy and the people away from that, and you just look at what was said, there is some credence to a responsibility that we talk about to the person in the public eye who put that thought. Lil Wayne is another example. Nobody was saying Lil Wayne was the greatest rapper alive until Lil Wayne started saying he was the greatest rapper alive on 500 tracks, and now the sheep come in, and now you have 1 million people who all think that Lil Wayne is the greatest rapper, past, present, or future to ever live. Why? Because that thought from a leader was planted as a seed into all of the sheep who don't think for themselves and just regurgitate what they hear. Do you feel me? So what I would say to you is that it is, I believe, in my unhumble opinion, in my arrogance and my cockiness, that it is a waste of energy to care about the opinions of the 51%. Because to change the opinions of most people you should only be focusing on changing the opinions of the people who matter. If you change the opinions in the American education system, if you change the way Congress views education, they're going to be, those set group of people will be the ones who pass the laws, who go through and change the way the education is for 300 million people. You can't change the way 300 million people feel individually on their own. But if you focus on the people who are the root cause of the problem, now you're dope. Now you're making a change. So if you're truly offended at the female radio show, or if I'm truly offended at the white MC, I would go to somebody like Stogie T, right, who is a mutual friend of ours, despite his super mean comments down in the descriptions below, right? Yeah, mean to me, not to you.
I can take it. I don't know about you.
But like, if it comes down to people who are influential in a certain space, and they start to make those changes, the changes will happen for everybody else. And that's not a waste of energy. And if you come, and one of two things is going to happen. There's only two outcomes. I go to Stogie and I say, hey, white rapper needs to stop being a way to label me because it offends me for whatever reason. One of two things is going to happen. Either he's going to agree with me and he's not going to do it anymore out of a mutual respect and an intellectual understanding of it being detrimental, or he's going to educate me on why it is a thing and why it should be a thing, and now we're able to have a conversation to either me become less offended by it and give up on it, or vice versa, for him to come around to it. And this is where it comes down to emotion versus statistics. You are entitled to feel however you want. No one should ever tell you how to feel about something. But we should be able to have an intellectual conversation to determine if you feel that way just based off of emotion, or if you feel that way based off of a statistical fact and basis, right?
Right.
So like that's my not counter argument, but that's my explanation to the do I think that the masses and stuff like that you should be offended by the masses and shit like that. I would say, yo, how many people do you actually respect and actually fucking love and take their advice? Probably less than 100 people. Probably less than 100 people. I would, like, if you have a circle that you care their opinion about more than 100 people, you have to be the most blessed human being on the face of this earth, right? It is much easier to influence and talk to and be educated in the own circle of people who you trust and love and take their own opinions and stuff like that to, than to care about the eggs on Twitter, than to care about the 99 plus unread Instagram messages. You know what I'm saying? Like, when one of the first things that we ever connected on, we was talking about, I think it was the interview with Touchline that I was doing, right? And you was like, give me a shout out on the thing, right? And I was like, yo, you gotta tell me how to say your name, because all my comments are like, yo, American, take the McDonald's out of your mouth before saying South African names and shit. Like, yeah. If I let those voices get to me, instead of the Stogies, the Touchlines, the Jimmy Whizzes, the P.O's, like the people who I actually cared about their opinions, if I listen to the nonsense Twitter eggs, if I listen to the comments and the anonymity where people get to say the worst possible shit that comes to them, then these relationships never come. Then I don't have any type of inner peace whatsoever. You feel me? Now, if you came to me and you were like, yo, Steve, take the fucking McDonald's out of your mouth before saying my name, then I'm probably going to be like, how do you say your name? I'm sorry. like, let's work on this. Let's figure this out. You dig me?
Right. I feel you. I just feel like I think it was Jay who was like, yo, if I want that kind of life, then I'd have to drop the Queen in my name, and that was very powerful. I'm not gonna ignore it just because it was like, oh shit, it made me think. I get that. I just think that we should not. It's exactly how you were saying. Nobody should be telling you how to feel. Right? Nobody should be telling you how to feel. I just feel like sometimes people want to cap your abilities, capabilities, and how far you can go based on this particular thing. And that's what I have an issue with.
Say that again?
So I just feel like sometimes people want to cap your abilities and capabilities and how far you can go based on a particular thing. People in general. Sometimes
the 51% or the 49%?
Yo, you'd be surprised that sometimes it's both. Sometimes it's
Okay.
both. Sometimes it's 49. Sometimes it's the 51. Sometimes even the people that you, even the 10 people that you respect, let's say. Sometimes even the 10 people that you respect can make you feel away sometimes, also just because they are flawed and they are human as well.
And I agree with that. And I would say that maybe it's time to switch up the 10 people that you have around you,
I do
or
that often, by the way.
this
Not the
this
switching, not the switching, but the. So I'm an energies kind of person,
right.
right? And if I start to feel like, if I start to feel like the advice that you're giving me, Steve, is not coming from a good place, or your energy has switched
Toxic.
up. You're fucking toxic all the time, but I still love you. But if I start to feel like if I start to question if the advice that you're giving me or the things that you are saying to me are coming from a good place, a genuine place, a place of, yo, actually, I'm telling you to change the way you speak because you sound fucking stupid, versus she's sounding too smart right now. Let me plant a seed to make her doubt
Right.
herself so she can start talking differently, and then it benefits me. If I start to have those kinds of thoughts and feelings like, I really don't know what this shit is about, I'm like quick to just go, oh, whoa,
Right.
I don't need all of that around me.
You started to make my next point for me on this topic, which is beautiful, and I love how we're on the same page with so much of this stuff. This makes communication so much easier. Sometimes the capping of your abilities, whether it's because you're a female or whatever, sometimes it's legit. And so, like, here's my thing, right? In hip hop, because that's what we're going to tie everything back to. Not everybody that comes out is going to be the next Jay-Z. Sometimes your friend telling you, hey guy, that's not it. You're trash. It's just good advice. Sometimes it's not toxic.
Yeah.
It's this is why it's important to have those inner circles and shit like that, right? Like, not everything is for everybody, as much as you may want it to be, right? This whole sense of equality that we're trying to push in 2020 is a beautiful thing in theory, but in practice, there's going to be limitations. I don't think we should have intermixed boxing matches between genders. I don't think men should be able to beat on women in the ring. I don't think that should be a thing. I don't care how much equality you want to scream. I think as a female boxer, getting in the ring with Mike Tyson is a bad idea. Period. Like that's just the way that I look at it. You know what I'm saying? And like, is that a toxic thought? Yeah, that's probably a toxic thought. But is there some good relevance to it? Yeah, I think there's probably some good relevance to it. And that's just an example of where I think that gender tag, as much as you may not like it emotionally, female boxer protects that boxer in the arena that they are in. And I think that there may be some value to that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
What if I am a female boxer and I'm like, and I go and I say, okay, Steve, I wanna be as good as, if not better than Mike, right?
mm-hmm.
And how would we, what's the most logical or the best or easiest way to test that? We can only know if I am better than Mike if I go up against Mike and knock him the fuck out, right?
Right?
Right. What if I say that's what I want?
I'm going to take boxing out of it. I'm going to switch to MMA real quick, right? Because in
Okay.
MMA, I truly believe on any given Sunday, any one person can slip up and knock out another person. I truly
Right.
believe that Nunes could beat a decent amount of male competitors, right? I don't know if you follow MMA or not, but like just to
I do
give,
not, but I'm
okay,
listening.
she's currently pound for pound the best female MMA fighter that we've ever seen. She just knocked out Chris Cyborg, who everyone joked about being like an actual cyborg based on her size and girth and
Oh
shit
shit.
like that,
Okay.
right? And she knocked her cold the fuck out. There's no doubt in my mind that she could take on some competition that was male, period, in a similar weight class. Like, there are other ways of doing it between weight class and shit like that, right? This is where you have to determine what is going to be your crux, right? What is your moral crux here, right? Because there's going to be the group of people who say, under no circumstance should a man and a woman be allowed to beat on each other. I am generally of the train of thought, my own train of thought personally, and this leads into a lot of things that we can talk about in future endeavors, right? I believe two consensual adults should be able to do whatever the fuck they want to do. If you have a man and a woman willing to sign a contract that says, we're going to fucking shoot each other in a fucking duel, and whoever fucking lives, lives, and who dies, dies. If you're two consenting adults and you both sign on and agree to that and are both mentally healthy and shit like that, I believe you should be allowed to kill each other because that's your life and you should be able to do whatever the fuck you want. So, like, I'm probably not the right person to ask this question to because my moral compass is too logical. I don't have the same brain chemistry that the average person does when it comes to these types of topics because, like, for instance, like, I don't even want to get into the more controversial shit. I believe consenting adults should be allowed to do whatever consenting. Like, I think drugs should be a health issue, not a criminal issue. I think if you're an adult and of sound mind and body, and you're like, I want to shoot up heroin and ruin my life, that's your life. Who the fuck is the government to tell you not to do that shit? You know what I'm saying? Like, go ruin it, but deal with the consequences too. Because if you're doing the shit in public and you get arrested and blah, 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 like, I agree also with dealing with the consequences of your actions. I think if you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're a woman and you're saying, I want to be as good as Mike, and the only way to do that is for me to get in the fucking ring with Mike Tyson, should there be an arena that allows for that? It's debatable. It's debatable. I'm probably, like, not even every man can do that, though. Do you understand that? Like, even, like, in the world of boxing, there's still weight classes. You can't weigh 100 pounds and say, I want to go fight Mike Tyson.
I hear what you're saying. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, you know, the way that you're like, not even amongst, there are men that can't even do that. I get that. But what I'm saying is, should I not even try based on that fact? Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Like, should I not try to be, if I was a rapper, which...
Well, there's also a huge difference between combat sports and art.
Right, I hear that. But
Huge
what
difference.
I'm saying is, if I was a rapper, and my big goal and my benchmark was okay, Stogie T is the absolute best, and if I want to be considered the best, then I need to find myself in the situation where I go toe to toe with him or go up against him in some kind of way and come out winning in order for me to be considered the best. I feel like people should not come to me and say, Azizzar, you can't even think like that because you're a woman.
I would never argue that. I would never argue that. I agree with you 1,000%.
That's essentially where I'm coming from with it, is that you find that people want to cap what you want to do and how you want to be great through that. And you know what? I could go there and I could get my ass like ripped to shreds and he would wipe the floor with me, and that is my out to take. But at the same time, what if trying to be better than him is the thing that just gets me to try be better?
I feel like I'm being redundant at this point. I don't think we're in disagreement with the topic, like, at all. I would say, like, the only disconnect that we're having is that I firmly believe that any man, woman, or child that would tell you that you can't do this because you're a woman does not deserve this energy. You may not be able to do it, and it might be great advice, but it should
That's
be
what I'm
advice.
saying,
But it should be advice that says you can't do this because you can't do this.
because you can't do it.
Right. Not because you can't do it because you're a woman.
Yeah.
We're in agreement. We're in agreement with that.
We're agreed. Okay, so what's next? We're gonna keep having the same conversation.
Right. I don't want to get redundant. That was super dope. I agree. I agree with Sumi here. I agree with what he's saying.
Jumi's been saying a lot. Hi, Jumi. By the way, I've been seeing all your comments. We're not ignoring you. Sorry about that.
I am. I'm ignoring everybody in the comments. So don't shoot me, Bill. Let me be the bad guy. Well, my job is to keep the conversation going. Posting. All right. So I said this is going to be two ways. I got a lot of information out of you that I wanted to get out of you to let me know how to tone and focus future content and conversations. I don't think anything was shocking. I'm not surprised by anything. I think we are very, very. I think the only thing that I would want to make clear before I move on and like kind of like throw the mic to you to start grilling me, if there's anything you want to grill me on, is when it comes to people saying, hey, Steve, I want the white perspective or I want the American perspective, I've already kind of come to terms with that, and I'm cool with that, and I own that, and I take that as part of my stock of my brand that I'm able to bring to the table. What do you want to be considered for, like, hey, if you and I are in a conversation, to be like, hey, what's the female perspective on this? Or do you think, or would you rather that just not enter a conversation under any circumstances?
I can very easily speak on the Azizzar perspective. I just think that I feel like me wanting you to speak for all white Americans in Philadelphia is not fair, because you can't possibly do that. You can give me insight.
I could try.
You give me insight that I don't have by virtue of the fact that I am not a white male in America, in Philly. But I also cannot want to take what you say and go, all white Americans in Philadelphia feel that,
right,
this, that, and the other. You cannot be the poster child for everybody.
Right. It's more like your perspective as a white male American or your perspective as a female is more what I was referencing to. I would never ask any one person to speak for any group of people without their consent.
You would never, right? You would never. But sometimes that's how it is received out there.
But now I'll put it back to you, right? I would still, like, on matters of black culture, right? I would still go to one of my black friends to give me their insight as someone who is a part of that culture.
You can ask me as a 30-year-old black woman in South Africa in the hip hop and entertainment industry, ask for my perspective and opinion in that way. You're very welcome. But I am one person. Facts.
Same. October down there is making a good point. Everyone in Philly does pretty much have a one-track mind. So, like, I probably can speak for most Philadelphians.
But see, I wouldn't know just because I'm all the way over here. I wouldn't know. But now that I know, I'll take it.
Yeah. I speak for all white male Philadelphians.
It's good to know.
Well, we separate it from the actual people and the crackheads. So I speak for the people, not the crackheads. It's a 50-50 split, if we're being honest.
Yeah, I thought so. I was waiting for you to be honest.
Yeah. All right. Is there anything that you want to grill me about?
No. Do you know why? I can tell a lot about you from the way that you ask questions, and I can tell a lot about you from the way that you speak about things. So I've already picked up on what I need to know for what we have to talk about. So
sounds good.
I don't need to ask you anything directly and overtly for that. I mean, I do have a question, but it's not in line with what you're asking me to ask you.
No, it could be literally about anything.
It's really tender. So you're a dad, right?
I am a dad.
What have you learned about yourself the most through your son?
So I do tend to, I don't talk a lot about my personal family life or my personal business life. The reasons for that are people on the internet are fucking insane. And when you become a dad, you develop a new red button that you didn't have previously, right? I've never been one to laugh at child injury humor. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not necessarily something I've ever been for. But when you become a dad, the humor in a lot of that. There's an old manager I have. His name's Bill Morrow. Shout out to him. And he shaped me a lot at a young age. I looked at him like a mentor. And one of the things that he told me is that as he became a dad, he can't watch movies anymore where children get injured. And it doesn't matter like how minor or big it is. Like he physically can't stomach to sit through and watch a child be injured anymore because his paternal instinct had kicked into that depth and that level, right? So the question you said is like, what have I found out about myself through my son?
What have you learned about yourself? Yeah.
Because I don't want to give you like a cookie cutter answer. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've come to find here's my biggest fear. I've had to come face to face with. I'm a control freak. I like to be in control of everything. I am a Taurus. I am very strong-headed, arrogant, cocky bull. Right? May 20th, baby.
May 20th.
Okay. May 20th. So, like, I've worn that on my sleeve. I am a super manipulative person, right? I am a psychopath. My ability to differentiate emotion from statistics is unparalleled. I like to control every aspect of my life. Upon having a child, you become face to face with how much you don't have control over a fucking thing. And as somebody who is not comfortable with being uncomfortable, it shook me a lot. So I never smoked weed. I was 31 years old. I've never smoked weed before, right? And I grew up very, very against drugs. Parents were drug addicts. I grew up in very, very toxic environment. I've seen the worst of what drugs can do to people, like the worst of what drugs can do to people. And I'm not here to tell sob stories, but because of that, I went 31 years without ever trying, touching, or doing anything. And as I went to have a child, I had to deal with the idea that the only reason that I didn't smoke weed or do anything is because I seen it growing up. I'm involved in hip hop. 99% of songs talk about smoking weed. If I didn't grow up in exactly, if I didn't grow up in that environment, I 100% would have been a pothead in my teenage years or my early 20s or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? 100%. And I went a good part of my life despising the idea of doing drugs. And now there's this creature here where it's like, I love this thing more than anything else in this world. How he's not going to have the same deterrence that I had to not do drugs. His mother, God bless her, doesn't do any fucking drugs whatsoever. I didn't do any drugs whatsoever. So I didn't even have the all I can tell is the horror stories of my childhood, which a kid is going to brush you off as telling tall tales anyway, right? So like, he's going to see his dad growing up in hip hop. He's going to be exposed to this type of hip hop music because I'm not going to shelter my child. You know what I'm saying? And like, yeah, he's probably going to experiment. He's a human. He is his own person. He's going to make his own decisions. And that terrified me. And it forced me, like, what did you learn about yourself? I learned that even though I'm a Taurus, I was capable of change. Even though I was very thick-headed for a very large part of my life about something that I felt very vindicated in the way that I felt, I learned that I'm capable of change when it needs to be changed. And I'm capable of rational thought. It is not right to put potheads in the same box as heroin addicts. And for a good portion of my life, I did. And for a good portion of my life, I looked at drugs as drugs. I looked at anything, you know what I'm saying? Like, I never took the time to separate the two. I never took the time to think rationally about it. All I could think about is walking in and seeing my mom smoke fucking weed and weed smoke fill the entire room while my baby sister's in the crib right fucking there. Like I can only like these are the things that like went through my mind when I looked at the shit, and like it wasn't until having a kid that I decided to look at situations like, and it's more than that. That's just the immediate one that comes to my mind. But the big thing that changed about me was realizing that I had to change the way that I viewed some things for the sake of being a good father. Because I know for a fact controlling parenthood doesn't work, and trying to control others doesn't work. You shelter your daughter and keep her in the house. She's gonna 100% have an OnlyFans. You know what I'm saying? Like I understand.
That's not necessary. That's not true. That's not necessarily
It's true. No, it's true.
No, it's not. No, it's not. I'm living proof because I come from a very sheltered. So let me tell you another part of my story, Stevie. I'm a PK. Do you know I'm a pastor's kid?
Are you?
I am.
So, okay, go ahead. There's some dead fish comments about to be coming your way, but let's go. Come on, let's go.
Every time I let people know that, they're like,
okay.
Like, no, fuck you. I'm still the same person. You just know something else about me. So I mean, my dad was a pastor, and a very like well-known pastor, and I was that kid. And you must understand, I'm the only girl out of my siblings. I have two brothers. I have an older brother and I have a younger brother. Right?
Shout out to them.
So, I had the added pressure of being the perfect girl child. You know, I went to church in like, my mom used to do a lot. Love her though. I was always dressed in pink and floral. And,
I can hear the 30% off specials now.
Right. So when I got the chance to make a choice, okay, I was like, all this pressure of perfection, because that's essentially what is expected from you when you are a pastor's kid.
Right.
You are expected to be perfect. You should know the Bible and the scripture like just as well as your dad does, and if not better. You're expected to be the next Sunday school teacher. You're expected to be the next choir,
I got you.
this, that, and the other. There are just so many expectations. And I don't have an OnlyFans. Right? I don't. But,
there's an asterisk. It just started popping. We don't know what the future holds. You should not limit yourself. You can do whatever you put your mind to, PQ.
See what you're trying to do. You're being rude.
That's not rude. I am encouraging you not to box yourself in, and that you can do whatever you put your mind to.
Okay. So I know those kinds of pressures, pressures of perfection, but I don't necessarily think that choosing to be a wild, reckless person cannot always be chalked down to I grew up in a sheltered home. It's a big influence. It is. It's a big influence when you do come from a sheltered upbringing, and you're sheltered as a lot. It will influence some of the things that you do. You will be more curious about a lot of other shit.
It's a stereotype. It's a stereotype.
Be curious about.
I argue that there's never anyone that speaks in superlatives is an idiot. Anyone that says all people who do X, Y, and Z are like X, Y, and Z is part of that 51% dumbest people. First of all, that girl cat, I see your comments in there. Shout out to you for getting your shit together. Salute to you.
You're from a sheltered home, adopted only child, went to Catholic and
But as far as the
congratulations to you for being clean.
Yeah, shout out to her. The how do I want to put this, right? I think most stereotypes exist for a reason. Stereotypes exist because there was a precedent for that stereotype to exist.
Right. Correct. I agree with that.
There's not one stereotype that covers 100% of people. There are always going to be outliers to everything, right? So like, I don't think that should take away from the fun of being able to make preacher's daughters jokes. And you're like, well, I'll have you know, I don't have an OnlyFans, but like
What the fuck do you want to say about a preacher's daughter?
nothing. I support OnlyFans. If I had more money, I would support all of them. I don't shame. I don't. Oh, aren't you supposed to be against that? What do you have against OnlyFans, Miss? I don't like shaming or embarrassing people.
I don't have anything against OnlyFans. I want people to do whatever the fuck makes them happy. And if you have an
Facts.
OnlyFans that makes you happy, then do that. I just don't want to do it for myself. That's
Facts.
it.
Jimmy Wiz OnlyFans, $25. What's up, my guy? Yo, Jimmy, I'm waiting on that verse still, my guy. What's going on? But all right. So now we're going back to the interview then. So now we're gonna go now that our section is done. Now I want to go to the regularly scheduled program. Right now I'm putting you on the spot. Now it's back to applying pressure and getting the good juicy stuff out. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Who's your favorite person that you've had on your show?
Oh fuck.
But here, hold on. I'm gonna shoot you some bail. I'm gonna shoot you some bail. Right. Not as a person, but specifically limited to the interaction on the show. Like, who was your favorite person for the interaction that you had with them on the show? Who was the best guest?
Does it have to be one? Can I give you three?
You give me three. I'll take three.
Okay.
You can tell me why too, if there's different reasons why.
I will. So, funny enough, I'm gonna start with Stoke. Stoke was one of my absolute favorites, and I'll tell you why. Do you know the story of how I met him?
I know his version of it. Him and I spoke on you. I woke up one morning to a text message from Stogie about you, and that's how that group chat came about. Was like kind of
Right.
spawned from that conversation.
So when I met Stogie for the very, very first time, I walked away saying, "Oh my God, I do not like that man. He is so mean."
He's so mean.
Yeah, and I told him this, right? Because when I met him, I was so I used to do a different hip hop show. I used to produce and co-host a different hip hop show, right before the Element existed. And Stogie was performing at a theater not too far from where I stayed, the Lyric Theater at Gold City, and I was super excited. I was like, oh my God, I cannot wait to go and see him. And my journalist instincts kicked in, and I was like, oh, content opportunity. I want to interview him. We can take the audio from the conversation that I have with him, plug it into the show, and it's going to be really, really cool, because I felt like a lot of people in the space that I'm in go to events, but they don't always cover events, especially if they're not the bigger events, right?
Gotcha. The festivals and stuff like that, right?
Right. Yeah. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm super geeked, and I went about things the right way. There was a person who was doing like the PR and handling all the media stuff, and I was like, hi, my name is Azizzar. This is what I want to do to this end. What do I have to do? Can I get accreditation for this, that, and the other? And this person was like, great, good, sorted. You're good to go. After the performance, you can interview him. So I am. Shit. Yes, this is Stogie fucking tea. Go there. The performance is absolutely incredible. It's so great. Now I'm like, okay, time for me to interview this man. And so I find this person who was helping me. I'm like, okay, so where do I go? What's this? How are we gonna work today? What's the setup? And they were like, just go back there through this room. You'll find him there, and yeah, he's good to go. So I do as told, and I go there, and I'm like, hi, and he was like,
I'm mad you're making his face. Like, that's a Stogie face. Yo.
right? So, like, in hindsight, I feel like he had no idea that this thing was something that was supposed to happen. And I'm going in there with this expectation because, as far as I'm concerned, I've spoken to the people that I need to speak to tell you that this is happening. So now I'm butt-ass hurt that you're giving me like the what the fuck is this face? Because I'm like, but I did the right thing. I emailed and I this and I that. So he was like, okay, let's do this interview. But I shit you not, that man was answering me like this. Yeah. Okay. He was giving me like one word answers, but he was standing there like just closed off, like, I'm not about this. And, I was just like, oh my God, he is so mean. I remember I even told him, I was like, I walked away going, I never want to see him ever again.
Oh, the
Right?
irony.
The irony,
The
right? And then
irony.
so fast forward to like 4 or 5 years later, and my mentor, he's now passed away. He passed away last year, but my mentor
Rest in power.
actually, G was at some point Stogie's manager back in the day, right? And
Small world.
that's, I believe, the way that the universe started to concoct our alignment and us being in the same space, kind of thing. So G would always be speaking about him and all this kind of stuff, but we never crossed paths through him or even after that until, let's say, last year or the year before, right?
Right.
So eventually, so he drops the Empire Sheep, and I'm like, okay, I've licked my wounds. I'm a big girl now. Like, get over the shit. I want to have a conversation with this person on my show. That's what I wanted.
How many
That's what I wanted.
how many years was it between the two instances?
I think it was about three. Yeah, three. About
3 years.
3 years.
Okay.
Yeah, roughly 3 years. So now I'm like, where the fuck do I even start? Okay, cool. So I find the relevant people to speak to, and now I'm like, okay, I just need these people to confirm that he's gonna be on my show. I think I might have even DM'd him. I think I DM'd him and I was like, hi, I just wanted to find out the most who's the relevant and appropriate person to speak to as far as, interviews and scheduling and things like that. And he responded. I was like, oh my God, why is he being so nice to me in the DM? Okay, cool. And I spoke to the right person, and I was just waiting for them to confirm like a date for me. And for whatever reason, that didn't happen when I expected it to happen. Like a few weeks or a couple of months had passed, and then I was like, "Fuck, this is that shit
Here
again."
we go again.
Now he's snubbing me in a different kind of way. Now he first gave me hope himself, and now he's not. And I was like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. I tried. I was like, you know what? I got over myself.
You did
I
your
stepped
thing.
outside of my emotions and, made it about work, and you know what I mean?
Right. So
And
let
one
me
day,
I want to jump in, just shoot him some bail real quick, right? As far as this goes. So when Stogie was texting me about you originally, right? This is like my perspective of what you just said before you get to the conclusion where everything's all Gucci now, right? So like when Stogie was telling me about you, the way that he worded it was like, yo, I don't fuck with most hip hop journalists, with PQ being the exception, and then why, right? So like I can totally see the stank face when you walked in, because I don't think that he's a huge fan of the hip hop journalism as a whole before the established credibility is there. You dig?
right,
Like,
right.
so like
And
that.
that's why, but you see, that's why I got so emotional at first, because I was like, I know that you don't fuck with us. And that's
Right.
why I was so intentional about doing things properly.
Properly, I
I was
got you.
like, I need to speak to the right people and this and that and that. And then to still have it not work out, I was like, I am so hurt. This man doesn't understand. So eventually, then one day, I'm like, you know what? If this is supposed to happen, it's going to happen. What is meant for me will always be for me. If this is supposed to happen, it'll happen.
Right.
And maybe I'm trying too hard. Maybe I'm too emotionally invested in it, and I'm reading too much into certain things, and I'm just being emotional about it. Let me just chill. Let me just chill and keep it moving. And then one fateful day, I was on Twitter, minding my business, and he tweeted me, and he was like, "Hey Queen, I still owe you a pull up on your show. We'll sort that out," or something along that line. And I remember I have my phone on. Lies. He is lying. He is lying. He is lying. I don't believe him. Whatever. I mean, 2 minutes later, shot me a DM. He's like, "Hi, please speak to this person, and we'll sort it out." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, thanks. Sure, I'll do it." Okay. Send the email.
You're the worst with DMs though. You don't be responding to none of my DMs on Twitter.
I don't respond to anybody's DMs.
No.
I wanna lie. I'm not good at DMs. Let me not say I don't respond to anybody's DMs. I'm not good at DMs. I'm not good at DMs just simply because I don't like them. But I've gotten better at who to respond to in DMs and who is
So I just
deserving of my attention.
I gotta work my way up the list. I gotta get to that piece of shit. I'm still down with the disgusting.
Yeah, you're still just disgusting. I need you to be a piece of
Gotcha.
shit.
Did you watch the cipher I sent you with me and Stogie?
I haven't watched it yet. I'm not gonna lie to you. I haven't watched it yet.
See, you don't be answering the DMs. Continue your story. I'm sorry. Continue your
I
story.
will watch it, but I'm honest.
So you snubbed me the way Stogie was looking. Oh, you see how it comes full circle? You see how it comes full? Karma's a bitch. How do I give you the toxic head thing? This. Go ahead, though.
So anyway, I was still saying, so yeah, then we set up that interview and it happened. Like it actually happened. And I was very proud of it for so many different reasons. One, I was very proud of it because it's one of those things where I stepped outside of myself and put the vision before how I felt, which is very important.
That's a t-shirt.
Secondly, he showed up. That's what matters as well. Because sometimes I find I'm like, oh my God, is he actually gonna come? Is he actually gonna come? Oh my God. So he showed up, and it was so super incredible because I had challenged myself in a way that I hadn't in terms of how that interview took place. And when he pulled up outside, I said to him, I was like, yo, do you even remember the first time you met me? Do you remember how mean you were to me? What?
Well, that sounds like a great way to start an interview.
and he was like, oh, did that really happen? I was like, yeah, that really happened. Oh my God. And he was like, oh, well. And I remember he said, well, what changed? And I said, you did. You fixed yourself. That's what changed.
That's fantastic. What changed?
So I was proud of myself for the fact that like I had a legend in front of me, but I didn't buckle. I aired out my beef with him, and I called him and I was like, yo, why were you so mean to me? You know, whereas I find that sometimes when you are in the presence of people that you respect, you try to be too prim and proper and say the perfect thing, and you go out of your way to try and impress them too much rather than being real and having a real conversation.
Which is ironic, right? Because I'm gonna put your own shit on you, right? Because what did you say to me? You said to me, when I'm comfortable with you, when I have love for you and respect for you, I roast you. You know what I'm saying? When there's that level of comfortability, you know what I'm saying? Like if I'm proper or not talking to you at all, it's not there. Like Stogie hops in here and is talking about who's this white reactor, and I start chopping him up for the nasty seat. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
There's no doubt in my mind that in your realm, which is still the people business, you know what I'm saying? They probably view it in a very similar fashion. In that, like there's less of a connection with the prim proper. You know what I'm saying?
But I didn't know that at the time, remember? I was green and wide-eyed, and I was just like, come on, just give me this chance. But you know, I think that
all journalists, all future journalists watching this should be taking notes, and you should send 50% of your income to PQ through whatever OnlyFans channel she decides to open to make sure that you guys subscribe. She's giving y'all gems right now. Gems.
And you know, I needed that. When I look back on it, I think that if my first interaction with him was perfect, I wouldn't have worked so hard. And I also think that I wouldn't have had such a thick skin as well, because I had to grow a thicker skin and be like, this is business. that person doesn't owe you a damn thing.
Right.
But also just to understand that I need to take control of that situation a little bit more as well. I realized that in hindsight.
Do you really think it mattered that it was him though? Do you think that mattered? Like you said, like if it wasn't for that, then I wouldn't have X, Y, and Z. I don't subscribe to that train of thought. Like if it wasn't him, don't you feel like it would have just been somebody else?
Yes, but that's the one that stood out. And I think that was the first interaction of that kind that I'd ever had. I was used to people just loving me like this. So because he was the first, it
so
changed a lot.
You were a little arrogant, would you say, about people loving you?
I suppose you could say arrogant, because that was a shock to me. I was like,
piece of a pod, baby.
I ain't looking like you, Stevie.
Oh, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah, I think I was very shocked, because I was like, I'm so polite, I'm being respectful and this, that, and the other, and I was like, he's really just not gonna fuck me at all, not even a little bit.
We're about to get cut off again. We got 20 seconds left.
Okay, let's do it again.
Let's do it again. All right. Oh, look, Stokie's commenting now. He said, "Big facts, more complacent." We're gonna jump back into this too. I didn't know Stokie was still in here. We're gonna jump back into this.
Cool.
All right, everyone, leave and come back in fucking 20 seconds.
Bye.
Part 3, baby.
Part 3. Okay, let me go quicker. So, I really love that interview with Stogie, just because it took so much for us to get there, but we also ended up having a really, really incredible conversation, and that's what I really, really enjoyed about it. And I just also was very proud of myself in terms of my research and my producer hat that was on as well, and how everything ended up happening. So that's what was
your biggest takeaway from the interview?
My biggest takeaway from the interview was just be true to who you are. That was from me.
That's very live, laugh, love.
I know, it's like very airy-fairy, but that's what I got, because in everything that he said to me also, it was just like he never apologized for anything that he had to say, even if other people might have found a point of contention with it. You know what I mean? It's just he has always been him, and he was still him.
I'm so excited for future endeavors.
And through that, I also was unapologetically me. I was so me in that interview. Like when I look back, I was like, you were just sitting here talking to this dude like you've known him your whole life. Like you didn't give a fuck,
Right.
And I was really proud of that, because for a long time, you find yourself in a position where you're like, oh, but I'm a host of a radio show, and I have to come off like this, and I have to sound like that, and this, that, and the other. But after some time, you realize that the reason why people come through is because they're coming to hear you, the authentic you,
right.
Nothing else. So that's what I got from that, is to be authentically and unapologetically who you are all the time. Be the same all the time.
I love it.
That's one of my favorites. So that's Stogie.
I subscribe to that too. That's. I was just tweeting about this the other day. I would much rather be real than loved. Like when you're involved in the type of but it's so true. Like, and here's the irony of what you just said too. I get more love from being real than I do, like, so many reactors. Like I beef with so many reactors just because, like, right. to myself, just because you look in and you're like, there's no way, like, you're pandering. Like, there's no way right. you like, that wasn't hot. There's no way you feel that way whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? And I've gotten more feedback from artists themselves as well as fans where they're like, yo, because you were real about this, I respect you more than the 500 reactions before you, or whatever the case may be, where they all were kissing ass. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's being real. Like, we're in a very fake industry. There's no way around it. It is a very fake, shake hands, kiss babies industry. And, like, just the, like, yo, keeping it real is such a rarity that it's the same tag as the female or white rapper that like it's that
Right.
rare
So
to keep it real.
for me, the reason why that was so important for me is because, growing up the way that I did, where being perfect was what was required as the pastor's daughter. It was difficult at some point in time for me to just be me because I am imperfect. I am loudly imperfect sometimes, I'm a pastor's kid, but I swear,
I got you.
disgustingly. You understand?
Yeah, it's
I'm a
it's hard. It's hard being perfect. It takes a lot of practice for
yeah.
me to have gotten there.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Oh yeah.
so yeah,
Yeah.
it's
You're doing good, though, kid. You're doing good. You're doing So that's the thing about it for me, is that it was such a turning point for me just in life, when I was like, you're just gonna be you, even if people don't fuck with it, even if
when
even if
when
it's
was
like,
this?
um I
Like what
would
age?
say I would say my mid 20s. That was when it really,
Oh,
really, really landed. Um, I was toying. The thing about being authentic is your wings have resonance in me more than the W or you can put it up if you can like the one from you. Correct. So yeah, definitely agree. I had lived under
facts.
this cloud of, you're the pastor's daughter. You can't walk a certain way. You can't talk a certain way. You can't just say certain things. You can't do certain things.
Right.
That was drilled into me for a very, very long time. And yes, I'm a PK. And I started messing around with this being imperfect in different ways. Like, I got my first tattoo when I was 17, and that was my little victory of like, yeah,
You know that's
I'm
going to be on you
imperfect.
for the rest of your life, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, people who get tattoos sicken me. That's crazy.
nice arm there.
Yo, so quick story, real quick, right? So, fuck, I don't really talk about what I do. What you need to know is
Tell
like,
me.
nah. So one of the things that I do is I do recruiting for marketing firms, right? And one of my
Okay.
favorite things to do is I would have somebody come in with visible tattoos, right? And I would just give like a little blurb about it, like, oh, do you normally cover that up? Is that something that you normally have? Like, blah blah blah. And I would just like make them feel really weird about it. And I'll just be like, oh, okay, and then start writing, and then roll my sleeves up, and
You're a fucking asshole.
oh, it's one of my favorite things in the world to do. And then you just see this look of like laughter and relief come over them and shit like that. It's so good. I love it.
That's pretty cool. You're crazy, but that's pretty cool. So that's why. So just to go back, that's why it was so important. Like, once you get the this is me, this is what it's about. You know what I mean? And now I'm like over it. And I remember, like, even when I got that first tattoo, I was like, oh, I have to make sure that nobody can ever see it, because what are people in the church gonna say? That this, that, and the other. When I pierced my belly, it was the same thing, and I hid it from my mom for a long time, and this, that, and the other. Then I was like, oh, I can't get tattoos where people can see that. I have 8 fucking tattoos right now, and I'm so unbothered. And they're all pretty much
Unbothered
visible.
queen. Let's go.
You know what I mean? So so when I really, really got it was when I was around 24, 25, where I was like, it's okay to be different. It's okay to not be as perfect as people expect you to be, as long as you are being true to you. Because my trying to be perfect was inauthentic. Was, yeah,
Right.
inauthentic, authentic, right? And that wasn't working for me. Um, how long is this live? Y'all messing with my OnlyFans group. Hold on.
Hold on. Hold. While we're on that topic, right? Right. How much did we cover in 45 minutes? I'm gonna just leave it at that. I'm gonna just leave it at that.
Huh?
40 45 minutes.
Yeah, 45 minutes is a joke, if we're being quite honest. It's a lofty ideal.
Ah.
Um,
Anyway,
yeah,
all
but to
right. So
to go
let's
back to actually answering your
other
question. So
other two people.
stability. The other two people was Captain FS. His social handle is @057 _ Captain FS. I really enjoyed that interview just because he does not do a lot of interviews, and
Mm.
it was after he dropped a like long awaited project that was absolutely incredible. And when I think about it now that we've spoken a little bit more, is interviewing him is almost like interviewing you, because you are extremely intelligent. And if something is not dope,
Aw.
it's not dope. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to be like, oh, yeah, this is so great. I had so much fun. Oh, I'm so impressed. If you're not, and he's exactly like that. So I
Sounds
was
like my type of guy.
So
So
that's my reaction to that comment.
this in response to Stogie, this is the foundation of more. This is more than an interview. That's why I said that in the very beginning. This is the
Right.
foundation of learning each other, of establishing that friendship relationship.
Yeah, this is not really an interview. This has no structure. We're
Not-
kicking it just that people can see. That's all.
yeah, that's all.
That's really
I'm enjoying it. I feel like this is
Stoke, you're
meaningful.
actually an
He's
eavesdropper.
a cat.
There's no program here. There's no intro, middle, and conclusion. We're just going where it takes us.
Right. So, next.
Yes. So yeah, that was what I really, really enjoyed about that interview as well, is that as somebody who is incredibly intelligent, has such super high standards, and to have him, one, agree to be sitting there with me, but also be super engaged and as open as he was, I was like, shit, I really, really appreciate this. So that's what I enjoyed about that one. And
That's right.
then
Stoke, I'm gonna start testing her after this, so it's gonna pick up after this. We're good. We're good. You said cat.
Oof. The last person would have to be, that wasn't even on The Element. That was on that other hip hop show that I did before, but it was with Casper in Your Vest.
Okay. His name's coming up a lot lately. He just dropped an album, right?
Yes, it's called Any Minute Now. Dropped yesterday.
I've never listened to him yet. I've never heard a Casper song. But I know he's really big. He's up, like, him and AKA are like the two, like, huge follower wise. You know what I'm saying, in SA right now. And I've just never gotten really requests for it, to be honest with you.
Wow.
So I just started getting requests for him because of the new album dropping. So I'll be checking him out in the next couple of weeks for the first time.
Yeah, so it's not, shut up. So
she's so bougie. It's like one of those other hip hop shows that I was running.
No, no, it's not even like that. It's not even like that.
She's flexing the resume. Ugh.
Not even like that. So what I loved about that was I was punching above my weight at that point in time, because as you say, he's one of the big artists, and I was like, I know for a fact that he does not know who the fuck I am. That I knew. I was like, I know for a fact that he does not know who the fuck I am. But I would really love to have a conversation with him and see if I could possibly show a different side to him, than people knew at that particular point in time. And I believe that I did that, and even the conversations that he and I were having off air, it was just on some like cool shit. We were talking about like weird shit. Like, he was roasting me too. He was like, what did you have for breakfast today? I was like, oh, I had this, that, and the other. He's like, you're having too much sugar. Oh my God. Oh my God, you're like risking your health. Why are you eating that shit? And I was like, weren't you just eating the most unhealthy shit just yesterday? You think you can come tell me about my diet? And he was like, oh, that's right. That's this, that. You know what I mean? So it's I was really, really proud of it, because one, he did not know who I was, but he showed up, and not only did he show up, but he was open. We got a lot of like gems from that. I got to understand a little bit more about him through that conversation. So I really, really enjoyed that, and I was proud of it, because at that point in time, I wasn't even PQ, or I didn't even have my own show or anything.
Right.
I was really, really like a baby in the space, and I was like, oh my gosh, not only was he here, but he was here for like 3 times the amount of time he was supposed to be here, and it was really, really dope. So
That's dope. I don't know. I might not be feeling it. So John Henry just said he's not a Casper fan, and like one of the things that I love about John is him and I have a very, very similar taste in music. He's like he's like my gatekeeper as far as
Right.
stuff that I allow on my channel versus stuff that I won't allow on my channel, because throughout the hundreds of videos that I've done, him and I tend, not 100%, but him and I tend to hit the mark pretty similarly. You know what I'm saying? As far as like, you talk about taste in music, shit like that. So you said John Henry's a hater.
I think so.
All right, so now, this is good. So now I want to transition into some of the harder questions, right? So let's go opposite that then, right? Who's the worst guest that you had? Who was just a not who's an asshole that we don't know is an asshole?
I've never had that experience.
No one has ever been an asshole to you besides Stogie.
But to be fair, Stogie was not mean to me on my show. And that's what you asked me. Actually, no, but Stogie just reminded me of something when he says that's easy and Nasty C. I had a similar kind of encounter when I first met Nasty C. And it was at the Castle Lights and Locks, and it is very similar to the way that I met Stogie, and I was like, oh my gosh, wow, that did not go the way that I thought.
That's not good with us.
But I remember, like, that was that night at that particular performance. I remember when I was watching him before he came to do like the media interviews or whatever. I remember looking and going, this crowd is not interacting the way that I'm used to seeing crowds interact with him. And even when I was talking to him,
You think his energy might have been off?
Yeah, that's exactly what that was. He was like
Gotcha.
he was not happy with the way that performance had gone.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Timing matters a lot.
Right. And so now, remember, because I had gone through what I went through with Stogie, I was like, this shit ain't about me. That's how I
Right.
felt. I was
Look at you, all
I'm not gonna
mature.
I'm gonna keep it pushing. But yeah, I haven't had an experience where someone came onto my show and was an asshole, because I think also I'm at a point in time where I'm just like, yo, this is my house. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
It's a little different.
It's a little bit different as well. And like I was saying to you earlier on, I can take a lot, but I can't take disrespect. So if you're gonna come into my house, you're gonna be respectful,
Facts.
or you can leave.
So here's going to be like, this is like the more serious line of questioning that I want to get into with you, right? I love Stogie. He's fucking hilarious.
I'm looking at the shit that he's on some John Cena shit.
Us peasants are graced by him. So I want you to answer this honestly, and if you can't answer it, that's fine too. I want that to be the honest answer, that you're not going to answer it. Okay? Like, I don't want you to placate to this. All right? Because this is also going to tie into possible future endeavors. Okay? Read between the lines. So, are you pigeonholed because of the? I don't understand SA politics as far as corporations go. So I don't know what your role is in the element, as far as creativity, as far as freedom of speech goes, right? So, like, I guess my main question that I want to filter off of this goes is, in the arena where we can see you, on Twitter, we can see you on Instagram, we can see you on the element. Are you pigeonholed in what you are allowed to say and what you are not allowed to say? Or are you actually able to give 100% authentic reaction? For instance, me on YouTube, I don't have any contracts. I don't have a job that's on the line. I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I have 100% freedom of creative choice and direction of what I do, of what I say. That is the baseline for the next round of questioning where would you put your freedom percentage at?
If you're at 100%, I would say I'm at about 80, and
Okay.
my 80 is a lot more than most people. Sorry, my phone is telling me that my battery's off. Give me a second, let me plug it in. Oh. Um, 2 seconds. I'm almost there. Okay, we are plugged in, and we are back on. Okay, cool. She is blacklisted.
This is what I'm getting to. We gonna get to it. We gonna get to it.
So
So a
the
strong
station
80, a strong 80.
yeah, so the station that I work for is different than most radio stations, just simply because it's a digital station. It doesn't have a lot of you're messing with a cancelled media person, you chose the wrong one. It doesn't have as much restriction and strict guidelines as a lot of the other stations, just by virtue of the fact that it is a digital station. So there's a lot of regulations that it doesn't quite necessarily need to. Wow! What? Wow! So he's a distraction, but it's good. So yeah, I have a lot less to worry about than a lot of people. I also have a lot more control over certain elements of my show than a lot of other people. So I can do a lot more than other people can. I can play.
Can you criticize?
I can criticize, but it's encouraged not to be overly critical and alienate too many people. But I'm not.
Can you omit? Can you omit? Can you omit positivity?
Can I omit positivity?
So say that there's a number one hit, right?
Yeah.
And this number one hit is trash. So
Yeah.
you may not be able to say this number one hit is trash. How is this number one? But are you allowed to not praise it? Like, are you allowed to just skip over it?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Have you ever been forced to like something out loud that you honestly did not?
No.
Okay. The limitations that you have on your radio show, based on your contracts and what you're allowed to talk about, do they spill into other platforms?
No.
So if you were to be featured on another platform, something that you weren't allowed to say on the radio show, you would technically be allowed to say without repercussions on a different platform.
Yes.
100% confident in that.
100% confident in that.
So you would actually say, like, if somebody wants 100% authentic PQ, that they would be able to see that on Twitter, or they would be able to see that on Instagram, or they would be able to see that on some unknown disclosed project in the future.
Yes. Also, to be quite honest, you get a lot of me on my show, but you get a lot more of me through my social media, for instance. Like, I can't say fuck on my show. I can't, like,
Okay.
you know what I mean? Like, it's even something as simple as that. I can't say shit.
What do you guys, what is your, like, we have, like, the FTC and shit like that here in America. Like, what are your, like, who regulates you guys? What is the regulation entity?
So the regulatory body is there's two. There's ICASA and there's the Broadcasting Complaints Commission that work together, right? And so that makes it a little bit more difficult to say things like I can't even say, oh my God, this is my shit, when that's something that I want to say, just because
Right.
it goes against those kinds of guidelines.
But you don't. But if you tweet that while you're on the show, if you're like, everyone, go look at my Twitter. This is my actual reaction. You won't get
No, I won't get into shit for that. No. You get what I mean? Yeah.
Have you ever beefed with an artist?
I beefed with Stogie. What do you say?
No, I said an artist, not a nobody.
No, I haven't. No, I haven't.
Have you ever secretly beefed with someone?
Ooh, have I ever secretly beefed with someone? I don't think that I've secretly beefed with someone, but I think I've secretly beefed with moves that they've made.
That's fair.
Or
So, like,
that
has there ever been
they've-
somebody, like, are you in control of who comes on your show? Let me ask you that.
100%.
100%. So there's never been a time that you've been sitting across from someone that you would have rather not have been sitting across from?
Why would you say that, Stogie? I do not.
So, I heard through the grapevines that you hate AKA. Apparently, why?
If
Why?
that's new. Wherever you heard that from, please can I tell you why? Because I don't know that. So I wouldn't know why I do. That
I,
grapevine, they can let you know as to why I hate that person, apparently.
it was
It
a
would be good
reliable
if they let
source.
me know.
If they
It
let you
would be
know
good
why
if they
you.
let me know. Because if they have good reasons for why I hate this person, then they should tell me, and then I'll put my back into it. Because right now, I don't know that I hate this
Right
person.
now, you're dead fishing it. You're not putting your back
Because as
into
far
it.
as I know, like I don't hate this person, so I'm just like a chicken just doing nothing. You know what I mean? Yeah.
This
So
is
yeah, no.
the people who don't follow us on Twitter are so confused, and I love it.
Huh?
The more we can niche down in a conversation to only speak to the people in the know, the more I love it. Like I love uh who was it? Anthony Jeselnik. Anthony
She a
Jeselnik.
colorist. She don't mess with the light skinned blacks. Oh!
This is I'm bringing her to the light side. This is her it
I'm like,
doesn't get more pasty than this.
according to what he's saying, I have the greatest amount of self hate because wow.
All right,
I mean,
well, do you want to talk about it?
I don't know if you see this shade of melanin that we've got going on here, you know.
I was really about to put my elbows up too, like it would do anything. I really had to think about that for a second. Like, oh yeah, look at. Oh no, okay,
Not quite.
not a thing. This is
Yeah.
different. There's a different form of self hate. There's a different form of self hate.
I'm sorry. We can talk about it one day though.
One day, not now. It's not the time and place.
Okay, next time.
All right. So as far as the disclosures and stuff like that goes, so you basically have freedom outside of your actual airtime.
Yes,
All
I
right.
do.
What does the yeah. He called you. He said you look like the Walmart whistling face. That's wild. That's the rollback chart.
I am being bullied by a legend. Jesus.
But that means he loves you. That's how that works. Remember?
Don't fucking come here with my shit and use it against me. No.
This is a this is affection that you're seeing right now. He could be
Yo,
on.
you're not calling me a red bone for real? Anyway, let me focus on you, Stevie. I'm
All
not
right,
looking at
please, just I need the fame. I need the fame and the attention.
I'm here. I got you.
No, so that's dope. So you do have the freedom. So like, I guess to kind of like wrap up this line of questioning, right? What is your end game, right? Because everyone that I know, that you know, for instance, right, are 100% in adoration of you, right? Like if you even go back to the original conversation that I had with Stogie, and Stogie talking about what separates you from other journalists and why he fucks with you over other journalists, right? I agree with it. And the fact that you have a genuine passion for hip hop, you go and you take the time to go and do the studies, to do the research. You don't just listen on like a one-time pop thing. Like you're involved in the culture. It doesn't feel like a job when looking at, you know,
Right.
your interactions. What is the ultimate goal? Like I've never met somebody who works at a radio station who didn't have greater aspirations. You know what I'm saying? Like, is it to own a radio station? Is it to get out of the music industry altogether? Are we going to get a mixtape from PQ at some point? Like, what is the goal?
Steve, if I could
I'm pushing for it. I'm pushing for it.
You know, if I could rap, sorry, I just want to let you know, if I could rap, oh my God, I would be the one telling Stogie that I don't fuck with him. Do you understand? If I could rap, oh my God, but I can't. So that's not my thing. That's not my thing. That's not my thing. So just to answer that,
You'd
a
probably
lot
be
of
all right.
people,
You'd be all right for a female rapper.
and listen. So, so like a lot of people, for instance, a lot of people because of how I listen to music, and I'll ghostwrite for her. You're the only person who's willing to do.
Mm.
Um,
Don't
a
let
lot
John
of
fool you.
people,
He's nasty with the pen.
A lot of people, because of the way that I listen to music, and also because of the fact that, like, so I have a really good memory, and that's what I'm always explaining to people. I have a really good memory, and when the hip hop artist has done the work for you, they've put the scheme there for you, they've written everything for you, you know the flow because of them. It's easy to seem like you can do what they do, but really, I just have a good memory because I'm just remembering what they said, how they said it, and how they did it. That does not make me somebody who could be a good rapper, as
Gotcha.
far
Do
as
you?
I'm concerned,
Um,
right? So that's
I,
not
I'm
something I
I'm
feel.
I'm with you on that. And again, I like teasing you about it. I like pushing you for it just because of the previous
No, I
conversations that we've
know, but you
had.
know what? You are teasing me about it, and I get that. But there are a lot of people who are really like, "Yo, when are you gonna rap?" And I'm like, "Have you met me? What do you mean? No, I don't do that. I talk to them. I don't do that."
Mm.
So that's not something that I'm looking to get into. So
Pristine
my
Queen, Preacher's Daughter, Volume 1, coming out this October.
oh my gosh, I think my dad would come back and go, "No,
Oh, you can put out a
no,
gospel record. You can make it
no,
hot.
this is no, 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 no." So so growing up, I used to listen to a lot of really dope hip hop radio, and I
Subjective.
learned, yeah, it's like you being so great. It's also subjective. So I used to listen to a lot of really, really incredible hip hop radio, and it stuck with me. I've seen a lot of people who are on those shows come to be great hip hop artists in this country and be really, really super respected. I became who I am because of that. From the church to the block. Esther, go fucking sleep, man. So my aim and goal and intention when I got into the space was I I want to give people the opportunity, people who have not been heard, to be heard, and also to show people sides to their favorite people, those who are heard and those who do have the ears of the masses. I want to show them different sides to those people and remind them that, yeah, your favorite hip hop artist is also just a person.
Okay, but how? All right, let me rephrase the question then. This was a huge moment in my life. All right, I'm gonna tell you a short, very very brief story. Right, uh, in America we have what's called the Powerball. Do you know what that is?
Like the lotto?
Right. So we have a lotto, but this lotto is for $1 billion. Like it
Okay.
was 1.1 billion was the amount. Okay. I have a very addictive personality. So I don't gamble. I never did drugs, all that type of stuff, right? That was not me. Like, I don't get involved in it because I know how I am. You dig? I convinced myself that I was going to win that lottery, right? I don't know why. I bought tickets for the first time ever. I dropped like 200 on it, and I called that a work. Like I was literally in bed in my mind. You couldn't tell me I didn't just win $1 billion. And what I did is you're laughing. I'm dead serious. I was doing after taxes math, and I was like, I called. His name was Eric Stone. He was a lawyer. I went to like get him on retainer to like what am I to help me out with what I'm doing. But yo, I was like sick in the head over this, yo, and it was like
Right.
it lasted 3 days until the drawing. Spoiler alert: I didn't win. But what I did do during that time is I started to think about what would I do if I got that money. What would I do with if money was no longer an issue and I could literally use my resources to do anything that I wanted? What would I do with my life? What would my end game look like with the necessities taken care of and with money being able to do all the connections of whatever I wanted to do? What would that look like? And I think that's kind of what I want from you. That's what I want with the answer. Like if you're able to do literally whatever you want, money is not an issue, family, friends, everything is taken care of. You just get to bring some type of end game into the world that doesn't exist right now, or does, or your dream job is to just lay on the beach for the rest of your life. That's just as applicable. I'm like dead serious. Like, what does your ideal end game look like? Money's no longer
So
an issue.
if money was not an issue,
And one more caveat. And you're gonna die at 90, so you're guaranteed 60 more years of life.
I'm guaranteed 60 more years of life. Money is not an issue. Everything is taken care of. What am I doing every day for life? Essentially.
Strip away all of the excuses and just give us the raw you.
I'm doing what I'm doing now. I'm talking to the greatest hip hop minds that I can get access to about it and trying to continue to grow the culture in that way.
So you're still gonna work for the Element?
The Element is my child.
Okay. There's nothing wrong. I'm asking. There's nothing wrong with that. Like,
and it doesn't, and you know what? It doesn't have to be just the Element. It doesn't have to be, the Element does not have to be the be all and end all.
you got $1 billion. You can do whatever you want.
I can do whatever the fuck I want. I can even stop talking to you because I'm a billionaire and you're just Steve. So, but yeah, I want to be the best broadcaster anybody has ever seen. I want to grow with hip hop as I grow. I want to continue to speak to the best minds about it. I want to continue to learn as much about it as I possibly can and teach people about it as much as I possibly can as well, because that's how much it means to me. People think that I'm just the girl who listens to hip hop music. That's not what it is. You know,
Isn't that how you market it yourself? Wasn't that the original marketing? I thought you said that the original marketing was, I'm just a girl that listens to hip hop. And it became so much more. I listen to everything. I got a good memory too.
I know. And that's what I thought initially, or that's what I used to say initially, but that's not how I felt.
Okay.
That's not how I felt. And that conversation that I had with my friend Mahuta was so important because he was like, you can't want to do the things that you want to do and say things like, but I'm just a girl who listens to hip hop. He's like, or you can't just say, I'm just a girl who loves hip hop.
Breathe it into existence. I got you.
You know what I mean? He's like, you can't do that. He's like, because then we're gonna look at you as, oh, she's just a girl who loves hip hop. But if you're saying,
Thanks.
I want to create this, and I want to put this into existence, and I want to become the person who makes this happen and makes people feel that way, then you can't say things like, I'm just a girl who loves hip hop. Because the more you say that, the more we're going to see you as just a girl who loves hip hop. And I've never said that ever since that day, and I think that's been about like 2-3 years or something like that. Because I was like, shit,
Let's go.
you don't even realize.
Shout out to Mahuta. That's dope.
Shout out to Mahuta, and I always say to him, I'm like, dude, you changed my life. Because the truth is, that's not how I thought of it. You know, hip hop to me is not just the music that I play in the background when I'm taking a shower.
Right.
It's not what it is.
I got you.
The hip hop is the best friend that was there when nobody else was. You know what I mean?
You getting deep now. We getting the deep gems. She said the best friend that was there when no one else was.
That's true though. That's true. You know, when I was bullied in high school, I turned to hip hop. When my dad passed away, I turned to hip hop.
Right.
When I felt like I was having an identity crisis because I was like, oh, but I'm supposed to be this perfect pastor's kid and da 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 da. I turned to hip hop because at some point in time, hip hop was not for the masses. It was for the others, and it was, you know, it made me feel a certain type of way.
I would argue that it's still that way. I don't. This is a conversation for a different platform for us. But I get very, very into the differential between hip hop culture and rap, and I feel like a lot of people confuse the two. A lot of people say hip hop when they mean rap, and vice versa. That's dope. So last line of questioning, and then like you get closing statements and whatever it is that if there's anything you want to ask me. Are you a rap fan or are you a hip hop fan? On that note,
I'm a hip hop fan.
you are a hip hop fan. Okay. So, do you enjoy mumble rap?
Do I enjoy it personally, or do I feel like
No. Just personal indulgence.
Here and there, sometimes. It's not
Sometimes.
my go-to.
Okay.
Did you hear how I mumbled that out?
Yeah. I got you. So here's where things differentiate for me, right? Like one of the things that I would fight with Stogie on. You were on the call when I fucking went off on him about the he who shall not be named's artistic direction, right?
Yeah.
There are people involved in rap who don't, not to say that they don't understand hip hop, but that they blur the lines sometimes, right? And when you look at things like mumble rap, like have you ever heard me rap? Like are you familiar with my body of work at all?
Yes, I have heard you rap a couple of times.
Okay. So like when you eventually get around to checking me and Stogie Cypher that I put together, you know what I mean, things like that. You'll see like my type of hip hop and my type of rap is very, very bar heavy. I'm a very lyrical person.
Yes.
I like punchlines. I like
Yes,
high impact stuff, right? Not a fan of mumble rap as far as rap goes. But when somebody like somebody critiques mumble rap and tries to critique it as not hip hop, it sets me off in a way that I cannot even begin to put down, right? Because when that person hears mumble rap, they are viewing it as an English teacher, right? The critiques that you hear from mumble raps, right, are what? There's no content. I don't even know what the fuck they're saying. There's no alliterations, there's no punchlines, no similes, no metaphors,
what do you
right?
even mean?
Right. What I hear it as is I hear it as an individual who went from sleeping in a roach-infested apartment and found a way out of the hood to live a life that is worth living, right? Hip hop is supposed to be this entity that exists that gives way in a place where there wasn't a way, and I can't simplify my opinions of it. Like, do I indulge in it? Absolutely not. But I think the people that criticize it, and I think the people who don't see the value that, like, I would hear all the time, oh, all mumble rappers should die. All mumble rappers should get the fuck out of here. Like, why the fuck is this on the radio? If your opinion is to take one piece or one slice of bread out of anyone else's mouth, I don't feel like you can rep hip-hop. You can rep rap. You can rep rap to the fucking death and say that this is the best type of content that exists. But if you look at somebody else who has found a way to make a living off of art in a position where there was not that opportunity previously, I find it very hypocritical and very difficult for anyone to truly say that they understand hip-hop and that they're able to take that away. And like,
I also think it's also incredibly important to realize that if we are saying that hip hop is like life, right? Or hip hop is life, right? Then we also need to understand that life is not always going to be bar heavy. Life is not always going to be super conscious. You as a person as well are never ever only one thing all the time.
right.
You have your ratchet side. You have your toxic side. You have your soft emotional side. And
I cried the last 2 minutes of every Scrubs episode.
so in that way there are elements of hip hop that will speak to those kinds of things. If you are in your ratchet mode, then maybe a bar heavy soundtrack is not what you're looking for.
I agree. I agree.
You know what I mean? And that's how I look at it. And that's even also like when I speak about my show, and even when I'm speaking to my team, I remember early on in the days, like my team would be like, we'd be listening to music and they'd be like, how do you feel about the song? And I'd be like, personally, it's not for me. Personally, I don't like it. It's not for me. And they'd be like, oh, so does that mean that we're not going to play it on the show? And I'm like, that's definitely not what I'm saying. The show is mine, but it's not about me. And if we are only going to be playing,
I agree with that. I mean,
if we are only going to be playing music that I like, then we might as well just call it Azizz's podcast or Azizz's playlist or whatever the fuck. But if we're
Right.
going to call a show a hip hop show, that's why my tagline for the show is for the love of hip hop, right? Because when you love someone, you might not necessarily like everything about them.
Facts. Scorpios. But go ahead.
You're starting, they're gonna come get you.
Yo, bring them.
But like somebody that you love, you don't necessarily like everything about them, but you like and love enough about them that these other things that you might not necessarily like, you can live with those things.
I still consider this conversation to be the difference between hip hop and rap, though. Like, this still sounds very, very much like a rap conversation.
Right.
The difference, like, how do I put this? Like, I find it weird when people try to rep hip hop and make fun of skinny jeans, right? Like, skinny jeans are no different than we were sagging our pants 20 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, the idea, like, fashion is an element of hip hop. Of the 9 elements of hip hop, fashion is a part of that, right? And it's not that baggy pants are more hip hop than skinny jeans are. The hip hop element of it is doing what the fuck you want to do and not caring about what the masses have to say about it, and being comfortable in your own lane. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are just as many people who are uptight about saggy pants and saggy jeans as there are people who are upset about skinny jeans. And whatever the next fad is that comes out after this, and whatever the next fad that comes out, I don't fuck with it either. No, John, like, I would never, right? Like, I'm gifted, so skinny jeans don't work for me. You dig? But, like, I also don't fucking I also don't criticize the idea of somebody creating their own lane. Like, I don't participate in mumble rap, but I don't think mumble rappers should make $1 less than they make right now. I don't participate in the skinny jeans, but I don't think the companies that make the skinny jeans and the hip hop people who wear them and shit like that should have $1 less of anything. You feel me? She said that Joe Budden fits. Yo, she's about to get power bombed. Leave Joey out of this. All right. Lesbic goes to you. You get the sound us off. Any questions, any topics, anything that you want to go over at all before we get out of here? That's my line of questioning. That's only 6 hours that I berated you for.
Do you feel like you berated me? I don't feel
Nah,
like you berated
not at
me
all. Not at all. No, I'm just being
So
funny.
how do you do, kid? Are you gonna have me on this? Are you gonna have me here again?
I'm gonna have my people reach out to your people. Maybe there's something we can do in the future. Maybe there's something we can do in the future. Oh, and the last thing about what you were saying, as far as your show goes and your opinion not mattering, I couldn't relate to that anymore. So, like, on my channel, especially if you look at the South African hip hop that I cover, I purposely don't exclude even, like, the stuff that is in vernac that I can't understand. I will still put on my channel, because even though I don't understand necessarily what's being said, 46% of my audience right now is from South Africa, and my audience may enjoy that, or be able to have a conversation about it, or be exposed to an artist or a song that they couldn't before. You know what I mean? Like, I put a lot of, like, some of, like, pro kid stuff up and stuff like that like, we're going to be digging into, that, like, is like, hey.
That's half of his face right there.
Let's go. But do you see what I'm saying about that? Like, it's in the same vein. Just because it's not for me, and I can't understand it, or whatever the case may be, doesn't mean that the people who indulge in it aren't going to be able to take away from it, and that's hip-hop.
That's
Cool.
What's up.
That's all I got for you.
That's important. And I think that's important. Yeah, that's all I'll say about it for now. That's a topic for who is ignorant nigger. Hi, ignorant nigger. First of all, my name is Azizzar. But to answer your question, yes, I have heard Casper Nyovest's album. I have listened to it today. He
missed the whole first hour where you said that was trash. That's all right. Go check the first part of the interview. The best part about this,
what's gonna happen? Someone's gonna take just that clip and put it out there, and I'm gonna be there like, what the fuck?
This is gonna be so good. And the best part about it is I'm gonna put this all together to be like 1 3-hour video. So they're gonna have to watch the entire thing to see where it was taken from.
That's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna be like, give me the time marker where I say that the album is trash, and then they're gonna have to watch the whole thing. And
My
try
views
and
are
find
about
it.
to
And then
be
when they come back,
crazy.
like, I couldn't find it. Well, that's because I didn't fucking say it.
Oh, look, everybody's coming on the 3rd hour. All right, I'm getting out of here.
Y'all are funny as fuck. Thank you so much. That's good for us to know for many reasons.
Big shout out for. So one of the things you already know, a lot of the stuff that's going on behind the scenes that we're trying to put together and everything like that. One of the things you may not know is I've actually been collaborating with Clash MC, the Battle League in Cape Town. Are you familiar with it?
Yeah.
Huge shout out to all the MCs that are doing that. I'm actually judging a tournament that they're hosting right now. And round 2 just dropped. So I'm getting, my message has been blowing up the whole time. Round 2 of the tournament dropped. And I'm actually judging it to who goes from round 2 to round like the whole thing. One of the best things about doing this has been the opportunities when the cultures combine. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to open up more doors, like you were talking about, for the people who don't necessarily get heard. Well, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're talking about, like, if you could do anything, you want to give a voice to the people who necessarily don't get it. Like, there's a lot of opportunity in the platforms that we have when you get individuals like us who understand the culture and are involved in it and want to, you know what I mean? It's not just about who's going to get the most clicks or who's going, you know what I'm saying? Like, who's the most talked about and stuff like that. To where, like, you can sit there and, like, you just spent 3 hours trashing Nasty C and how much you hate AKA and how Stogie was an asshole to you. Like, they can go back and check all that. But the important thing is also going to be the battlers that are on the up and coming. You know what I'm saying? The 18-year-olds who are just finding their voice and finding their style and shit like that. Like, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just think that it's super dope, and I'm excited about it.
I'm really excited. I also wanted to say thank you so much for, one, making sure that I fucking did this, because I'm so bad at my life right now and scheduling. And
we were supposed to do this like 3 weeks ago.
The way that you hog tied me, you're like, yo, I was like, for fuck's sake, yes. So thank you for that. I need a PA, but I'm in denial about that. But anyway, and just thank you for what you constantly do. I think it's really super dope. The way that you engage with artists, and the way that you engage with the art more than anything else. I've had a number of people hit me up like, yo, we saw that Steve was doing this, that, and the other, and engaging in the music, and I was like, that's deep, you know what I mean?
That's awesome.
Just know that people really are appreciating what you're doing, even if they don't say things to you. They are.
Tell them to hit me up. My ego needs more inflating. God damn it.
No. So thank you so much, and I'm really looking forward to everything that you're going to be doing in the next bit. And just know that we learn a lot from you just by the way that you move. I always say that when somebody is authentically living their truth and walking in their truth, just by doing that, you encourage other people and inspire them to do the same.
Awesome.
So I know you don't need me to tell you to keep going.
I appreciate you.
But just know that it's impacting a lot more people than you even realize.
I hope so. That's amazing. We should do something sometime together.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Let's see how that goes.
Yeah.
Let's see what the universe says about that.
We'll figure it out. We gotta get somebody else.
To pull your people.
Have a great day, love.
All right, I'm going to bed. You have a good day.
Oh, yeah, my day's just started. I woke up and did this interview. Hugs,
Stevie.
kisses. Till next time.
Till next time.